Good morning and welcome to the AM show. I like to say it's the most informative, educative and analytical breakfast show on the block. And interesting times ahead of December 2024 polls. Yesterday, the Vice President and presidential candidate for the NPP announced his choice of a running mate to the President. And so far, we know that the ticket of the NDC is also complete. Alan Chamantin launches his great transformational plan. So it's beginning to all come together neatly and it's beginning to look like Christmas. But welcome aboard the AM show. My name is Sweetie Abochi and this morning we'll start by serving you breakfast with the news, the AM news. And then Professor Sharif Mahmood Khalid, Associate Professor of Accounting and Finance, and Paul Boachi Dankwa, government spokesperson on governance and security, will join us to get into the various stories captured in the newspapers. And then Muftar Nabila Abdullahi will bring you AM Sports, and then our big stories come your way. It's 2 more days to go, and the multimedia group celebrates heroes, touching lives in their various communities, another Joy Impact Makers Award. 10 nominees, 10 heroes. We hear from some giants, as we did yesterday, and what makes them special. Now, coming up on the AM show this morning, will the National Council of the NPP seal it off for Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh to become Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia's running mate? And if they do, what does this ticket bring to the fortunes of the party? And does it pose any threats to the chances of the opposition National Democratic Congress in the upcoming presidential and parliamentary elections 2024? We will interrogate all these issues as Dr. Bawumia officially names his vice presidential candidate in the coming days. All this and more coming up on the AM show. And today we'll bring you some stories from the Northern Belt. There's more trouble in the Wale Wale electoral area as disputes is ongoing between some NPP supporters who vowed to block any attempt by the police to transport ballot boxes to the Tamale High Court at night. We're up there for details and updates. And on AM Business, we bring you a special report on how some hawkers have created a unique yam selling point across some busiest roads and intersections here in Accra. James Eshen is on that beat. So, of course, you're invited to join us with your comments and your thoughts. This is the best breakfast show on the block, and we are because you are. Welcome aboard the AM show. Time now for the AM news. Thanks for joining us for the program, the AM News Now. Trade and Industry Minister Katie Hammond is going full override, defending his latest controversial proposal to regulate the prices of cement in the country. Attempts to lay the document in Parliament yesterday was blocked by the NDC MPs, who insisted the LI must first be discussed. Speaking to journalists in Parliament, Katie Hammond insisted this law is necessary to prevent a cartel of cement manufacturers from fleecing the public. There's more in this report.
This is the second controversial legislative instrument that Kwabena Tahir Hammond, the Minister for Trade and Industry, is seeking to lay in Parliament. The first one, seeking to restrict the importation of sugar, rice, among other things, failed after significant public backlash and opposition from the NDC MPs in Parliament. This new one is expected to regulate the pricing of cement. And Katie Hammond has now been mounting a spirited defense for that legislation, insisting there is a cartel brewing within the cement manufacturing space and only a legislation is needed to stop the high prices of cement in the country.
For a long time, you never see cement prices de-escalating. It's always escalating. It's always going up through the ceiling, through the roof, and towards the skies. Somehow, something has to be done about this. But I think it behoves on those in responsible positions in authority to ensure that the good people of Ghana are not fleeced. I am not comfortable. I don't believe that we're getting good prices for all that it's worth. I think there's something fundamentally wrong with the pricing of cement in the country.
On Joy News on Tuesday, the Chamber of Cement Manufacturers did tell us that they had not been consulted by the minister or his ministry. Today, Katie Hammond has been offering a certain understanding of the engagement he had been having with the cement manufacturers prior to putting this LI before Parliament?
In my absence, I was told that the minister wasn't going to be able to do anything. They would not listen, they wouldn't do it, they would go the way they want. Well, I have only one other avenue. I mean, encouraging them to do it is a moral persuasion. If moral persuasion fails, there is a system in the country, there's a constitution, we operate by rule of law. You come to Parliament and then you ensure that there are laws.
Katie Amon also explains that this LI does not seek to impose prices on the cement manufacturers, but that there will be a committee, including the cement manufacturers themselves, to discuss and impose reasonable prices on the prices of cement in Ghana.
The LI is to this extent. The committee would sit down with the manufacturers and then they would determine, a roundtable discussion, determine what is it that is a reasonable price for a bag of cement. And of course, in doing that, they're going to take account of all the factors. We're not simply going to dictate to them, sell it for 20 cedis, sell it for 10 cedis. That's not how it's going to operate.
This LI is yet to be laid in the House. If it is laid, it will mature into law in 21 sitting days. The minority already say they should go through the pre-laying stage. There must be proper discussion with the minister, with the Cement Manufacturers Association and other stakeholders before enacting this into law. Katie Hammond already insisting that that pre-laying procedure is alien to the Constitution of the Republic, and as far as he is concerned, his LI should be allowed to be laid in the House. The Speaker of Parliament has given the Subsidiary Legislation Committee a few days to discuss this LI and present a report to the House ahead of a possible laying of this document. Reporting for Joy News, Kweku Asante, Parliament House, Accra.
The Trade and Industry Minister revealed that cement manufacturers can face up to 3 years in jail under proposed legislation to regulate prices. He's been speaking exclusively to host of PM Express, Evans Mensah.
If they decide not to comply at the peril of the penalty.
What penalties are you proposing?
Well, it's pretty hefty.
Well, that's what I would like to know, yes.
No, I'll tell you, 3 years imprisonment, or both, of fine and imprisonment. So, yeah, a person who contravenes what I've just indicated to you is liable conviction to the penalty points. We're talking about 2,500. The unit points, I think the multiplication of 12 or something is 2,500 penalty units. You convert that, I think it's 12 cedis or whatever. So how much that one comes to is the fine. And then maximum 4,000 penalty units. And that's what see, these companies, they are big ones. So if you limit them to fines, they will easily pay the fines and then come back and replicate the same whatever they want to do. So there's a stiffer one here. Now, imprisonment of not less than 2 years, and of course not more than 3 years, or both, fine and distance. But we don't leave it at that. You know, corporate responsibility and corporate whatever. So you well be thinking that, well, you can't put a company into prison. And so we go on to make clear that if it's a corporate...
Who specifically suffers this?
So we have it here. In case of body corporate, every director and officer of that body corporate is deemed to have committed that offense, if it is...
Mr. Hammond, yes. You are proposing to throw people in jail for pricing a commodity above a ceiling. Yeah. That is... Well, that is backward. Many will put
that would respect
in an economy
it's such absolute nonsense. Don't worry so much about somebody going to jail or whatever. Why do you have to go to jail? Well, there is a commandment in the Bible: don't steal. It's there in our code. Don't steal. If you don't steal, you go to prison.
But why
so I'm not worried about. Why are you not worried about those things?
Why don't you simply fix the economy?
You see, again,
which is a fundamental point.
Again, wait a minute. How do you fix the economy? Who said we are not fixing it?
In other stories, striking medical doctors at the oncology units of the Komfanochi Teaching Hospital have returned to the consulting room after 2 days of failing to attend to cancer patients. The health workers embarked on strike to register protest over delayed installation of an essential equipment in the diagnosis and treatment of patients. But management of Komfo Teaching Hospital has insisted it has demonstrated enough commitment in procuring the water phantom needed to calibrate the linear accelerators used for administering targeted radiation therapy. Hospital spokesperson Opoku Prempeh indicated it will take time for the hospital to take delivery of the machine despite proof of letters of credit to its suppliers. The striking doctors have decided to shelve their action after leaders of the Komfo Doctors Association and the Ghana Medical Association held a meeting with the hospital's management.
Tonight, the leadership of the Komfo Doctors Association and then the Ashanti Regional Division of the Ghana Medical Association notified management that the striking doctors at Ronkoji Directorate wanted to meet management. And in line with management policy of open door policy, it agreed to meet them this morning. And they came, they met management, and they raised a number of issues which management identified with those concerns. And the assurances were once again given to them as to the steps that were being taken to address those concerns. And on the basis of that, they've resumed work. And see things for yourself. They are attending to patients as we speak.
Still on issues of health, health experts are warning of a looming disaster bound to happen if urgent measures are not taken to mitigate the exponential rise in non-communicable diseases in Ghana. They fear the country could face a significant health crisis with conditions such as diabetes, hypertension, and cardiovascular diseases. Over 600,000 cases of hypertension are recorded annually. To prevent this scenario, experts are calling for comprehensive public health strategies. Here are excerpts of our latest hotline documentary, NCDs, The Silent Epidemic, co-produced by Emmanuel Jivenu and Sairam Abla D'Souza, highlighting the cost burden on individuals, the health system, and the national economy.
Non-communicable diseases, of course, have been around for a long time, and it's traditionally or historically been a problem for high-income countries. A few decades now, we've seen a shift in low and middle-income countries such as Ghana, South Africa, Zambia, and so on, where non-communicable diseases are beginning to increase.
I think that it's about lifestyle transition. As societies are moving from low income to middle income, lifestyle changes, and due to those lifestyle changes, it comes up with those sort of diseases.
A silent epidemic is sweeping through Ghana, affecting millions of lives. Non-communicable diseases, or NCDs, are a growing threat to global health, and the cost burden is staggering.
If you ask me as a clinician, one condition I fear most, in fact I fear diabetes even more than cancer, because once your sugar is so high, it affects virtually all tissues, all organ systems in the body.
The World Health Organization reports that NCDs account for over 30% of deaths in Ghana, with diabetes prevalence doubling in the past decade and affecting around 6% of the population. Also, hypertension, often undetected until complications arise, silently impacts over 1/3 of Ghanaian adults.
About 612,000 new cases of hypertension alone are diagnosed every year. That is quite consequential in terms of the financial implications.
It's like a ticking time bomb, and if we don't address it, it's going to be catastrophic.
In this documentary, we uncover the human stories behind these statistics and explore impacts of NCDs on the affected persons, the family, the health system, and the national purse.
NCDs, The Silent Epidemic, airs on Monday, 1st July 2024 at 8:30 p.m. on the Joy News channel. And from our election headquarters, Chairperson of the National Peace Council, Reverend Dr. Ernest Edujemfi, says until the country accepts Ghana card or one form of identification, foreigners will continue to actively participate in Ghana's electoral process. Reverend Edujemfi, who complained about how a chunk of registrants in a recently held voter registration exercise used a guarantor system, argued that the country should take a firmer decision on the system of identification after this year's general elections. He spoke with my colleague Latif Idrisu following a meeting with the Electoral Commission at the premises of the National Peace Council.
People busing people from place to place. We looked at all of those things. But the reality is that until we accept Ghana card or one system as our form of registration, the figures they gave us today, 63% of those who registered within this short period use the guarantor system. That's too high. Ghana card are 39%. 63. So that whole system of busing people will continue. You bring people from a different constituency. If I think that this is my safe zone and I have enough votes, let me move people from there to another constituency. And then you go and say, where's your card? Where do you live? Somebody comes in and says, well, I know him. He lives here. How can you challenge those things? So we have to come to this point. But during our last meeting in December, when we reviewed a lot of the things that are going on, we felt that between now and the election, if we insist on some of this, it could create chaos. But immediately after the election, there's a need for us as a country to sit back and say, what is the best for us? Can we just allow people to dictate our future? They may not be Ghanaians, they may not be, but because we don't have a system of identifying them, they are here and they vote. And sometimes the politicians themselves benefit from it. So they will not allow us to do these things. But for us as Ghanaians, we must agree. What is the system of identifying a Ghanaian?
And Chairperson of the Electoral Commission, Jean Mensah, says the return of the opposition National Democratic Congress to IPAC has so far proven fruitful as the party has given some valuable inputs to improve Ghana's electoral system. The NDC has been missing at IPAC after raising concerns about scheming of the posturing of the commission, which they alleged are calculated steps to collude and rig the elections for the governing New Patriotic Party. But speaking exclusively to Joy News at the National Peace Council, Jean Mensah told my colleague Latif Idrisu that as an important stakeholder in the politics of the country, the commission has had constructive feedback from the NDC, which they've incorporated in their workings going forward.
It's of great benefit to all of us that they've returned to IPAC, and the discussions have been going on very well. They've been very constructive. There has been valuable feedback that has come from the NDC, as well as some of the other parties. And we've taken those, on board, and we've inputted them, and we're working to implement them in our processes. And so for the just ended registration exercise, there was valuable feedback that the NDC brought on board, and we've considered quite a number of the ideas and the suggestions, and we've taken them on board. So we continue to engage in a constructive way.
Clearly there was that rift, that friction between the Electoral Commission and the opposition NDC. How have you managed, last but one, how have you managed to oil it again, to have a fluid relationship between your outfit and the opposition NDC?
Let's focus on IPAC. I think the relationship has gone well. As I mentioned to you, there's been constructive dialogue at IPAC. Issues are discussed, issues are raised, and they are discussed in an open manner. And I did mention that the NDC has been very constructive. They've brought on board very useful feedback that has gone a long way to strengthen aspects of our work. So we believe that even as we go on in the lead up to the elections, as we discuss issues of importance to our country and to the election, we'll continue to receive useful feedback that we'll use and implement for our work.
Away from our election headquarters, many had written them off in winning their contest, but with sheer grit and determination to prevail, Zabila Senior High School has qualified to the semi-final stage of the GOIL PLC Northern Zonal Championship of the National Science and Math Quiz. The school eliminated Tolon Senior High School, Bolgatanga Senior High School, and Northern School of Business, Nobisco, who qualified to the championship with the highest score for the Northern region. The students who were only chosen to prepare for the quiz barely 3 days to the regional qualifiers say they are poised to make history. Emmanuel Bright-Kweku reports from Tamale.
Yamdan, Kuborge, Yamdan, Kuborge, and the surprises here at the Northern region keeps increasing by day, and Zibila SHS all the way from Boko West have qualified to the semi-finals. They beat Northern School of Business and Bolgatanga SHS to make their semi-final debut in a very long time, and we want to find out from them how it feels qualifying. They tell me they only prepared just some few days to this. How do you feel qualifying it here again?
I am highly impressed, and I will first of all give thanks to Almighty God for giving us the opportunity to come from far away from Boku West district to here and qualifying. And I'm severely excited because the way the things were going, I nearly lost hope.
Okay, now help me appreciate how you are determined to make history for your school.
Okay, we are determined, all right, because we feel like we also coming from the northern part of Ghana, we can also get there. Like seeing high competition always impresses. So we also pray to God that one day we also reach there.
For the last competition, we beat the second school with 3 points, and this time around we are beating them with 2 points again. Oh, we have nothing to say than to say we thank God, and we want God to help us so that we will reach there, we'll reach to the top level, so we can also go and compete, and at least we can make history for Upper East and Northern at large.
Okay, because how the competition was going, it was now just in a zigzag way that I didn't know that, oh, it will go this way. But my hope was always in God. And then I believe that no matter how it will be, we'll take it. And by God's grace, we have taken it.
Okay, now in terms of infrastructure, how is the school like in terms of infrastructure for preparing?
The infrastructure for Zebila Senior High School is not that of modern status, but we are doing our best. For the science, we don't have a standard laboratory of the modern nature. What we have are just facilities we are managing, but yet our students are very committed to the study of science through the commitment of teachers in the department and in the school as a whole. We have a headmaster who is very committed to making sure students excel in the program the school run. And so with the little resources we are having, we are able to commit them to good use. It is our hope that if we get the best of resources, we can even do wonderful things than we have been doing for the past years. So thank you.
All right, sure. And so these are the students and teachers from Zibila SHS, and they have qualified to the semi-final stage of the Goyle PLC NSMQ 2024 Northern Zonal Championship. They are hoping to make pull another surprise in their subsequent contests with any school they might clash with. And so these are the students and teachers from Zibila SHS. Yamdan, Kuborge, Yamdan, Kuborge. Reporting. Okay, yeah, as they rightly said, a wise man will never get lost. And indeed, they have proven that. From here in Tamale, my name is Emmanuel Bright-Kweku.
Coming up next is Business Update. Let's do some business stories. The Bank of Ghana has given the firm assurance that it has the required laws to prudently regulate financial technology firms operating in the remittance and money transfer space. This follows concerns that the country is not capturing all inflows into Ghana because of some regulatory lapses. Kwame Opong is the head of fintech and innovation at the Bank of Ghana.
I think over the years, everyone may have observed that Bank of Ghana's framework for the digital financial service ecosystem has been anchored on the banking sector. So as non-bank players came in, whether it was mobile money or the new payment service providers, they have all operated anchored in the commercial banking space. And I think also even taking a step back, remember, much of what is being discussed, clearly, if you look at the data, and I'm sure you had the opportunity to examine the data, is that there's actually no variation. It's largely consistent with the World Bank data, what we've been reporting as a central bank, and what is being reported by the World Bank. So that is consistent. But coming back to the issue of how the central bank is ensuring that there's consistency, first of all, as you know, Ghana does not licensed money transfer operators, because these companies reside abroad and they partner with local institutions to deliver inward remittances. And over the years, that had been within the remit of commercial banks, and subsequently, fintechs came into the space on account of the efficiency that they started bringing, the costs, particularly the time that people were able to receive it, and moving away from picking up cash from the bank branches and agent branches in person to delivering mobile money wallets. That was done with a very careful framework that is consistent with international best practice.
As a participating member of the African Continental Free Trade Area, calls have intensified for interventions and policies which will promote women-led businesses to harness the opportunities presented by the AFCFTA. In an interview with Joy Business, founder of Seed Ghana, Gifty Volim Karimi, explains that tailored policies will be needed to support women entrepreneurs scale up and compete on the global market. She spoke at the launch of the Bridging the Digital Divide for Inclusive Value Chain Development project.
Policies around social enterprising and then also registration to align this are very critical, and the government is working with the Ghana Enterprise Agency, initially getting Standard Board to approve, especially those that are into manufacturing, was very challenging, but now there is a system in place. When you work with them, they are able to waive some of the charges and you can get the approvals on time. So I think that is good, even though there's still a lot of work to be done, because we still have some barriers to cross, but it's been a great opportunity to do that. I think the piece also would be looking at the fair trade components as well, so that the women can fully get acquainted with those standards to be able to compete globally in terms of the businesses that they are and the products and services they are providing.
And that ends it for business updates on the AM News. And it's a wrap for the AM News, but for more stories, log on to myjoyonline.com. Stay with us. Coming up next is the news review segment. A news review segment, and my guests have already started the conversation without me, but a gentle reminder that this segment is always brought to you by Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, and they're offering free prostate screening and free fertility screening at their various locations. Here in Accra, you can find them on the Springtex Road opposite the Shell signboard, in Kumasi, Kronumabuehia, behind the Angel Educational Complex, in Takrade Anaji Estate, in Tema Community 22, in Techiman Hanswa, in Nesiama Enziba. You can call them on 0244 867-068 or 0274-234-321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, the end to chronic disease. So, like we normally do on Thursdays and Fridays, we host two personalities to get into the newspapers and the various stories captured therein. So this morning, I've been joined by Palgrave Boache Dankwa, government spokesperson on governance and security, and Professor Mahmoud Sharif Khalid, who is an associate professor of accounting and finance. Gentlemen, welcome to the program.
Thank you, and a very good morning to you.
Yeah.
Sweetie, it's good to be here.
Okay, we're going to have a good morning. I heard you say let's have a good morning.
Yes, we're going to have a very good morning. Always.
Okay. So it's going to be a good morning.
With all the supposed good work they claim to have done, he's flying NPP colors.
Well, the new patriotic party
still need to advertise.
Let
your work speak for you.
No, absolutely. I think our work speaks for us. Excellently. Our work has always spoken
Prof, I'll give you 2 minutes to get into whatever you want to get into, be it of national interest, social. What's on your mind this morning?
Well, on mine, I mean, you have the Daily Graphic again in its usual, I don't know who the editor of the Daily Graphic is, but it's quite concerned in to always see this. I think we have Matthew Opoku Prempeh chosen. I think there are a lot of social issues. Growing up, I used to read a lot of social issues, pressing social issues on the front page of the Daily Graphic. But in the last couple of years, it's become a political tool.
But we are in the political season,
yeah,
and it's not
just
the Daily Graphic
but even
that's carried it as the banner story.
Yeah, of course.
I bet it's in your...
It's in the Ghanaian Times as well.
Yeah.
Yes, it's
no, but I'm just saying that it's the NPP has, you know, been teasing Ghanaians for a while. So if a name has been put out, it makes sense that they want to...
Yeah, but I mean, to consume the entirety of the front page of the Daily Graphic, the Ghanaian Times, the key newspapers, and you could see an agenda of sponsored media presence within the week to give this some kind of... I think it's a bit worrying. More so when we are under very pernicious economic conditions, you know, health issues, and a whole host of other issues that failed promises that we are existing under this current regime. So it's quite worrying for me.
And that's what's on your mind this morning.
It is indeed.
Your take.
On his or mine?
Oh, what's on your mind? It could be in reaction to his or...
Well, no, I think that Prof hasn't looked at the context of how print media does their front pages. Usually is the bigger issues that are ongoing. And if it's NDC picking up a running mate and John Dramani Mahama making a statement,
there's a difference between what the tabloid press does and what
let him get into this minute and then you can...
That's what I'm saying. I mean...
I reference the Daily Graphic for it, and I know why I'm doing that.
Prof is very hyper this morning.
I've just returned from the trailer from the Eastern region I was with, where we had a good day.
Oh my,
yeah.
Oh my, oh my.
It's going to be a good morning.
It has to be a very good
Are you done with your take?
No, I think my thoughts are very clearly that I've had a very good journey. I'm graduating with my doctorate on Saturday, my doctor in business leadership. I picked a subject on servant leadership, which for me has been one of my journeys. And I picked servant leadership and organizational citizenship behavior among public sector workers in Ghana. I did it at Ipage Business School in Paris, France, but coordinated with the Nobel International Business School.
Okay.
And so my thought this morning is really that the Ghanaian people continually deserve the best of leadership, sustained leadership over the long period of time. And I'm excited that Ghana is going to have such, especially in the candidature of Alhaji Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia.
So let's get into it then. Since it's on the banner, it's banner headline on most of our newspapers this morning. This choice of a running mate, Napo, Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh, two thoughts or two questions that come to mind. Was the delay a strategy? Did the party know all this while that they were going to name Napo and just was waiting it out for what? And two, is this what you really need to break the 8? Do you think the bad press that this man has had over the past, in fact, we can only focus on this year alone. He's had some bad press. He is the energy minister. Do you think that this is what would help you break the 8? Palgrave.
Well, Sweetie, let me greet you and greet your viewing public and to state that the excellent decision made by the flag bearer of the New Patriotic Party in choosing none other than Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh, a medical doctor by profession, homegrown in Ghana, MP from Asia South. He's been in Parliament since 2009. During the SWAL NDC government, worked exceedingly in a number of committees. I'm in no doubt in my mind that he's a strong competitor for the ailing Professor Nano Opoku Agyeman, and you also have to realize...
What did he just say?
He said ailing?
Ailing?
You also have to
no, sweetie, we can't carry on with these kind of comments. You've got to let him... You've got to let him... No. Let's be civil.
I'm being very civil.
Let's be civil.
I'm being very civil.
This show...
No.
Yes, of course.
Excuse me.
He's got to retract
this. So we can review stories, news stories, and not to denigrate or...
Not at all. Not at all.
For me, if he doesn't retract, I'll leave studio. I'm being honest.
You cannot call him.
You cannot call her. If you don't retract, I'll leave studio.
In the conduct of good unity and
if you don't retract, I'll leave the studio.
Don't worry, I retract the word ailing. But we're having a conversation. I'm wondering. He's been so hyper this morning.
No, it's not about being your choice. Come on, what do you mean by that?
Oh, come on.
But Palgrave, you have to be embarrassed.
Try and actually get into the story.
You just announced to Ghanaians you're earning a PhD and you're coming with this kind of diction.
That is why
it's unfortunate.
I am stating very clearly. I'm emphasizing my candidature.
All right,
and I'm emphasizing the fact that
the Honorable Dr.
Let me give you both a minute to cool off. So we are actually getting into the papers. I was starting with the Daily Guide newspaper. On the front page, NPP V praise, Baumia picks Napo, and Trade Minister introduces cement pricing law. That is what we're just getting into the first story. That is the choice of Napo. And my guests are a bit heated, so I'm giving them some time to cool off. Trade Minister introduces cement pricing law. We brought you that story this morning. E-Transform project connects 951 government agencies to internet. Parliament ratifies bauxite mining lease, and the Church of Jesus Christ Gamanche renovates school. And so the story is on page 3 of the Daily Guide newspaper. And for context, I'll just read a brief part of it. Barring any last-minute changes, it is more than certain that the governing New Patriotic Party would outdoor Energy Minister Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh as its vice presidential candidate for 2024 general elections. It follows a series of wide consultations among key and influential people in not only the NPP, but across the length and breadth of the country by its presidential candidate and flag bearer, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. And we saw that leaked NIB report that projected Matthew Opoku Prempeh as the preferred choice of the party and the people. So that's the story we're getting into. Paul Grave, I'll put a pin in your take. Let me go to Prof and then I'll come back to you.
It's interesting. Much as the grapevine had it that the Honorable Matthew Opoku Prempeh, I will not call him alien or label any names to him because we have respect for your viewers. Because we come to discuss these issues dispassionate of personal attacks on people's personality or personas. So, I mean, it's quite an interesting thing, but the lead up to it, as I would say, shows a level of indiscretion on the part of the flag bearer, and it also betrays the kind of resilience and potency he may probably have in terms of prudent decision making. Because the point is, we're in the month of July already, technically, because there's the last week of July, right?
Yeah.
June. Sorry, when I say June, but we're getting into July, right? So how many months the elections? Except December, right? We won't count December because we're going to go.
5 months.
Yeah, we'll go to the polls on 5 months of elections, right? Look at the process that leads to a by-election in a constituency. He's a sitting MP. Right, we know it's a stronghold of the New Patriotic Party, but what's going to happen is that obviously he's got to vacate seat as a certain MP, and a process had to be triggered in Parliament, by which time that process even elapses. We're probably talking 2 months gone, right? So the people of Menchia, his own constituency, are going to have a certain disservice based on the decision of the party to delay this process. Now he's a minister again, an energy minister, a very critical sector, right? More so under crisis, right? And you
say the energy sector is under crisis?
Of course. Yeah, the energy ministry is under crisis and the sector is under crisis, right? You look at the doomsday that he himself is not admitting, among other issues that are surrounding it. So what it means is that it's a very sensitive ministry and we are under a crisis situation. Now, it's going to take another process for the president to appoint a new energy minister who is going to go through vetting, who is going to be approved by Parliament, and who is going to be sworn in. And by which time all of this is done, what time would be left of this government?
All right.
So it just tells you that a lot of thinking has not gone through, except to say, we're just trying to, tag along, let's see what happens. That is the statement that they've both presented to us.
Okay.
The Patriotic Party.
Is that what's happening? Tag along and let's see where this goes?
Minded by the fact that a lot more thinking has gone into this decision. And minded as well that the stronghold of the New Patriotic Party has spoken. And we have listened to the delegates, and Alhaji Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia has chosen another person than the Honorable Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh. What Professor is not seeing as well is that should the president even decide to pick a new minister for energy, there's always existing ministers. I'm certain that if the president decides at all that he wants to put a new minister there, it's going to be one of the ministers that have already been vetted. And so there's not going to be a need for Parliament to go through all those processes at all. But I'm just opposing in that extent. But it's an interesting journey to see that, yes, of course, the seat would be vacant, there's going to be a by-election, but all of these things are things that are done, and in a very short period of time, you realize that you have a new MP who is also going to win the election of the 2024 in December. For me, I look at the decision that has been made, I look at the character of the Honorable Matthew Opoku Prempeh. This is the man that implemented President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo's free senior high school that has chalked a lot of successes. And it will remind you to know, Sweetie, that from 1957 to the time we came into office, the number of people that have finished senior high school were 800,000 people. Today, as I speak, it's in the millions of people due to the credit of the man, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo and Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh. And to state that the energy sector is not facing the crisis as is being purported at all. I don't see the evidence of any doomsday that is happening in this country. The energy situations have all been resolved.
Are you saying that
as I speak.
you've never experienced?
Oh, I have, in past, I have.
What when you say past, how far past are you talking about?
Oh, maybe 2-3 months ago.
Okay, and
yes.
it's fixed?
It's fixed, it's fixed. It's very much fixed.
Posterity will tell. Let's continue with my paper. So the Trade Minister, Katie Hammond, has introduced a very controversial bill, or he attempted to lay it in Parliament yesterday, and the NDC MPs blocked it. He says that we must regulate cement prices, and those who breach that law or that directive could face up to 3 years in jail. And the NDC MPs say it first has to be discussed. But we know that cement prices have been increasing for some time now. It's been skyrocketing. Yeah. What's your take on this attempt by the Trade and Industry Minister, Katie Hammond, to lay this in Parliament, and why the NDC MPs are blocking it? I mean, is it not in the interest of us Ghanaians?
No, but when
cement prices are regulated, cement manufacturers, I must add,
there are a lot of stuff that need regulation. I don't know why cement has been, the only selection point. But sometimes the Honorable Katie Hammond sounds very, I don't know how to put it. He comes across as, because this has to have real consensus building. Right.
Let me just read a quote from him. He says, put something together. So we have a situation where in Bolga, a bag of cement sells the same as it sells in Accra. In Kumasi, it sells the same as it sells in Sifiri also. We'll discuss all these matters. And then, of course, let's also ensure that there's some kind of sense in it. It shouldn't be so arbitrary. I wouldn't allow a situation where you don't have an oligarchy, operating when there wasn't a monopoly. Yeah, so that's what he's saying. That's the sense behind this.
But that's just mumbo jumbo of words. I don't know what the Honorable Katie Hammond was trying to say, actually.
You get into your...
Yeah, so you look at all of this, and for a trade minister to say that he wants prices of cement, which is manufactured in Accra and Takoradi, right? These are probably the few plants we have around. And he wants the prices of in Bolga to be the same as... It's quite interesting coming from a trade minister. What modalities has he put in place to necessitate this? Why is that cement going to fly to Bolga? There are freight costs that come with all of these things. So if he has not made provisions for businesses to have incentives that would necessitate this, and you start to throw a legislation, right? Because you see, when you are legislating something, especially that has punitive measures, you need to have buy-in. Either than that, you exacerbate the very situation you are trying to cure, right? Where you still have people risking their lives to smuggle items into Burkina Faso and all of those things. So what has he, in the last couple of months, being trade minister, the incentives he has put in place to support this, has he actually created a fertile ground for possibly a cement manufacturing plant to be set up up north?
Is this not any good step at all?
Right? No, the good steps, not to regulate, but from the premise within which his words are coming from, talking about flat rate prices across the country. He, as trade minister, have to put incentive in place. You just don't throw a legislation because you think it's going to regulate it. No. First of all, you try to put incentives in place to promote, right, the acceptance and embrace and the ease to which people would not. Because why do we have laws in the country?
So you're saying this procedure is backward?
It's backward. Counterintuitive.
Yeah.
Reverse engineering.
The trade minister says that we should put measures in place so that one bag of cement is sold at the same price throughout the country. And that if these manufacturers flout the directive, they could face up to 3 years in jail. He was telling Evans Manson.
So, sweetie, my thinking really about this conversation is that I'm not sure we need an ally for regulation of cement prices. I don't think so. I think that what we need is a lot more broader conversation with the stakeholders that are involved, because there are raw materials that you bring in to put together your cement. And I would admonish that the Honorable Minister for Trade and Industry meets with the cement manufacturers and producers of it and have the broader conversation. I'm not too sure if we need an airline to regulate the prices of cement. I'm not sure we are there yet. And I've not seen the details of the airline, but I don't think that is a route to go. It's a broader conversation to be able to look at what taxes you can review. It's a broader conversation to be able to look at the raw materials that you're bringing in. Then you can be able to juxtapose and say that because government has put in these measures to reduce taxes for the materials that you're bringing in, we are asking for you to have an equilibrium and equity across board. And,
that's leaning towards what the NDC MPs were saying, that there's a need or a call for more conversations and discussions before something like this is made.
Well, my thought is leaning towards what the interest of the Ghanaian people would be.
Okay, I get you. And then there's that thing happening in Kenya, the protest against the finance bill. And the protest, storming parliament, Ruto must go. And he's announced that he's actually going to retract that bill. Does it tell you about the power that we have as a people when we combine our voices and insist that government or our leaders who we put in place should do what we need for the for the good of our country?
You know what?
I was really excited yesterday following the story, the developments of the story.
Yeah, the point is, Kenya, or the voter cohort in Kenya, or for that matter, the middle class citizenry and upper classes are very sophisticated and thoroughbred people. I usually would say Kenya and Dakar and Senegal, right? They have this strong democratic resistance towards oppression, as you'd see in what happened in Senegal or Dakar in the last couple of months leading up to the election of the new president that they gave us a young president. And you juxtapose that with Kenya. When Ruto started out, that was one of the ardent critics in how he started out, because he seemed to have been running the country with a PR firm, probably sitting in London or Belgium or somewhere else, where he was actually reading verbatim from speeches that pawns off to say, okay, well, I'm doing well within the international community, when a lot was not getting done at home. And the ripple effect of what has happened is what we saw just barely 24 hours ago.
About 22 lives.
Yeah, but you see, the interesting thing, what I would say is that the difference between the Ruto government and the current NPP government is that at least he listened. He listened and then backed down quickly. We don't have that.
Did he listen or they made him?
Well, they made him listen, right? But here in Ghana, when they say they are increasing prices, they are introducing a bill whatsoever, regardless of the number of noise you make, right? They are trying to sell off Senate properties. And we even tried to demonstrate and end at the Christ the King church. We couldn't get to the Christ the King church. So it tells you, but I just hope that it's going to be a lesson, not just for this current government, but for the good people of Ghana, that you have the power to resist oppression's rules. And we need to, as it may, amalgamate this force for positive action to really get the right things to be done. I mean, a raft of bills came in. They attempt to, they did so much to the extent that they even wanted to tax electricity, right? This is where we got to. Look at Momo. The Momo tax.
They have a similar bill. I was listening.
Yes, they have a similar bill. That's what I'm saying. They have a similar bill, but
the e-levy is everywhere.
Yeah, but
Nigeria, they tried to introduce that as well in Nigeria.
Yes.
And I don't know how
to
read up on
but the point is, the country is under siege. People are scared, and this government, one thing you can commend them for is that they are very good at intimidating people. Right. Even Palgrave tried doing that to me at the weekend.
Government spokesperson.
At the weekend, in studio at Channel 1, right? Yeah, he started.
Intimidated you.
Yeah, yes.
I wouldn't have thought that anyone could intimidate.
Well, he tried. That's what I'm saying. He tried. So yes, there's a lot more to be done, and I think that Kenya is a good example. I think Kenya has always been a good example. Anytime it's close to election years, we see a lot happening there. And I just hope that there's nothing to fear. This government cannot do anything to you, the good people of Ghana. You are the very people that can liberate yourself. So which is why you have John Dramani Mahama and Professor Nana Jane Opoku Prempeh as the clear liberators of the good people of Ghana.
Liberators.
Of course, obvious.
I'll take your quick thoughts on Kenya. I'll do one more story and then I'll come to you, gentlemen.
Well, so I think the incident that happened in Kenya is unfortunate. Kenya and Ghana are siblings. We have a lot of similarities. We have access to the country. We have diplomatic relations. Ruto visited our president this year on some bilateral conversations. It's very unfortunate with the issue that happened. I think we should be able to condemn it very rightly. I don't think that in this country people don't have the liberty and freedom to demonstrate. The NDC have had various demonstrations, civil society organizations have had various demonstrations. There is no fear that our government has put into people. We've not caused any fear into the normal citizens. People have their right to demonstrate. It's unfortunate what happened in Kenya. We must condemn it. The lives that have been lost is very unfortunate as well. We shouldn't see a day like this ever.
What are you condemning?
I'm condemning the demonstration.
Police brutality.
The demonstration. Well, yes, the demonstration.
The very demonstration that saw the president. They have the right to.
Yes, they have a civil right. Yes, but you see, I've always called for responsible demonstrators. I've always called for responsible demonstrators. 22 people are dead in Kenya. It's unfortunate. The president as well has asked that the bill be sent back to Parliament for them to look at it. And comparison as well in our case, Professor mentioned the Senate hotels. The president has asked Senate to look into it and give a response in the next 2 weeks. So our government is also a very listening government. Our government listens to what the Ghanaian people state. When people make requests for KPMG reports, the president releases the report. And so really, for a government that has set in an RTI bill into law, you cannot state that we do not practice the freedom that the Ghanaian people so desire. And I think that our president has been very accommodating. The president has practiced one of the best open democracy that the Ghanaian people have admired and looked to. And I don't think that the Ghanaian people ever want to be reminded of the days of the PNDC and the NDC era. But I'm glad that this democracy has come to stay. I'm glad that constitutionally we are going in accordance to what we must do. If you dislike any regime, I think that the opportunity is there for you to vote, which is why for me, I'm in no doubt in my mind that the more we stay in power, the better the Ghanaian people will have their livelihoods and the Ghanaian people will have an opportunity to be liberated within the various arsenals of this world.
Yesterday, this is not in the paper. Yesterday, I read that the finance minister was saying that, I mean, on the back of the end of this debt restructuring with the Eurobond holders and all that, finance minister, in fact, he has been talking up a storm about how the country is thriving and, you know, although the depreciation of the cedi is, you know, last year was better. No, we're doing better this year than last year. And so there's nothing wrong. We're not in financial crisis. And my question to you, Palgrave, you said that the longer this government stays in power, the more that you liberate us from the arsenals and blah, blah, blah. What do you think that we need liberation from as we speak? 2 questions. I'll bring a follow-up. What do you think Ghanaians need liberation from?
No, well, sweetie, I think that is the constant opportunities that government creates that enabling environment. And I've seen the policies that our government has put in place.
But your government has been in power for nearly 8 years.
Absolutely.
What do we need liberation
Which is why the government needs more.
Like
absolutely, yes. Which is why the government needs to stay more, because it is this government that has implemented one of the best social intervention programs. Name it, free SHS, one district, one factory, brought in ambulances when other people were sending letters of credit.
One tiny tangerine for 7 Ghana cedis. I bought 3 pieces of tomatoes for 12 cedis yesterday, just yesterday. At the time, we were reporting that one was 5 cedis. Yesterday, I wanted to just make some eggs. I went to buy tomatoes, 12 cedis for 3.
And your breakfast was probably 100 cedi.
You're saying that we need liberation. And the longer the NPP government stays in power, the more they can liberate us. But you are in power.
But why are you borrowing my word without my permission?
Are you going to liberate us from the shackles that this very government has plunged us, you know?
That's an admission of it. No, it's an admission of it.
I'm just looking for clarity. Yeah. He said liberation.
That's what I'm saying. He admits that we are under some shackles.
There's no shackles.
Which is the economic shackles.
There's no shackles that we are under.
Of the EMT-led Baumia.
No, well, he is aware. I mean, I'm not sure he doesn't want me to go into it, but this is the very first time in the history of Ghana from 2025 that we're going to have in the helm of affairs an economist.
But he has been head of the economic management team.
But the head of the economic management team.
Are you serious?
Hold on.
The head of the economic management team is a subcommittee of cabinet.
And what would an economist bring to the table?
Well, a lot of things.
Right? What has been his achievement in the economic world that you think he brings to the table? Tell us.
He trained the economy of Zimbabwe when he was the head of the African Development Bank.
Are you serious?
So what about us?
Absolutely, you are aware. He
plunged it into crisis.
People used to buy.
Let's speak within the Ghanaian context.
Buy $1 trillion Zimbabwe dollars with bread. That's what people used to buy.
So what about the Ghana story?
Of course, which is the Ghana story. You are aware. Look at where we picked this economy from. It is this government that's recorded a single-digit inflation. I mean, all throughout.
And what is this reflection?
That now?
No.
And what is this reflection?
Inflation, 2017, 2018, 2018, consistently.
After inheriting what Mahama left and the programs he left, you benefited from it in your first.
Prof. Palgrave, give me a second here.
Why I've said.
I'm not concerned about NDC, NPP. Everything that you're touting right now about free SHS, economy, and Zimbabwe and all that, does it reflect in the pocket of ordinary people? Ordinary Ghanaians.
Sweetie, you said you went to the market to buy tomatoes.
Yes.
I don't know the time you go to the market, but I've been an advocate of proposing to Ghanaians to go to the market early.
Sure.
When yes, it's true. I like the way you said.
So under this crisis, you are now giving timings for people to go to the market. Since when has that become an economic strategy?
That's my point.
It's okay. You have just about 20 seconds.
Yes, in 20 seconds, when you go to the market at dawn, your prices are cheaper because the goods have just come in.
So government spokesperson
I've always stated
on
that
security and governance is saying that the solution to the hike in food prices is to go to the market at dawn.
This should make banner headlines.
That's on record.
Yeah, this should make banner headlines.
The solution to the hike in food prices we experience is to go to the market at dawn.
Go to the
Let's move on to other stories.
No,
on the back page
sweetie, I don't know why you're not fighting for your colleagues, right?
Yeah.
You know why? What time did you get to studio this morning?
I get here at 5 a.m.
So between the market and the studio, which would you turn up to?
Well, you know what my job is to give people information. They would decide what they do with that information.
But fight for your people as well. Fight for those who would turn up.
This is me fighting for the people. So on the back page of the Daily Guide newspaper, Black Stars have given us hope, according to Asamoah. Now, he's saying that the Black Stars have won 2 games in this World Cup qualifiers, and it means that the team, they are doing so much better. They haven't won any games in a while. So this is coming as a refreshing news to Ghanaians. That is according to Asamoah. How do you think the Black Stars are faring?
Football,
and then I'll come to you for your...
Football is one that would unite Professor and I.
Okay.
Because it's Ghana, you know.
Yeah.
But I think that the Black Stars are doing well.
Yeah.
I would like them,
especially in this tournament,
yes, in this
qualifiers that
very
we're
much.
seeing.
I like to see them qualify for the World Cup, and we would wish them the best.
Okay, Prof.
Well, I mean, football has been, I don't know what unity Palgrave is referring to that is going to unite us, but we'll try. But I think that our national team hasn't really excited us as a people in the last, because when the economy is bad, when there is doomsaw, and there are pernicious economic conditions, to borrow the words of the former finance minister, we all resort to football to sort of like soothe our experience. But here's the case: we are under a very hard economy, and football is not also performing. So I'm sure if we were to take a happiness test in Ghana, a lot of people will be very unhappy with the current situation. But I just hope that we could call on the national spirit to rally behind the national team, and so they can really invoke the lost glories that they have had in time past, so we can all push them forward. And I mean, let's put Ghana back on the international map.
We used to be a force to contend with in the football world.
Because I mean, I used to say, growing up, when our grannies went out to Mecca, where phones and stuff like that were not very common, and people were trying to know which country they were coming from, and they went like, oh, and they go like, I'm from Ghana. They go like, Abedi Pele? You know, so we're identified with real football, and can we go back to those glorious days?
I'll come to you now.
Thank you. The Ghanaian Times. NPP presidential running mate race. Napo gets nod as president accepts choice to partner VIP for 2024 general election. Gamanche Foundation, Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, renovate Manche Takitewia, the first cluster of schools. I think that's good. And then Kenya violent process, 5 Ghanaian MPs caught up in the war. I spoke to the Deputy Minister for Information, the Honorable Sylvester Tete. He's arrived in Ghana, so I'm certain that his colleagues are also here. I think that, so the page 8 talks about Napos gets nod. I'll just read a few things. The flag bearer of the ruling New Patriotic Party, the NPP, Alhaji Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, has settled on Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh as his running mate for the upcoming presidential election. Although Dr. Bawumia is yet to submit the name of his preferred choice to the National Executive Council for acceptance, indications are that the President, Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo, has given his blessing to the choice. A source within the Jubilee House told the Ghanaian Times, Dr. Bawumia Bawumia, who is also the sitting vice president, announced his choice to the president during a meeting at the Jubilee House on Tuesday night. The source indicated that there was no hesitation on the side of the president in accepting the choice of the flag bearer, and it goes on and on and on and on. And then the demonstration and the Gamanche. I think this is excellent. Like I stated, for us as a party, we are very poised and very confident that in the two persons that we are presenting in this election, and you are aware, election is about ideas, it's about policies that you are churning out when people are struggling to define and establish their ideas and what it is. We are very clear in our mind what we want to do. Okay. In the next chapter of Ghana, we've stated that Alhaji Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, the man who is proposing the digital Ghana, who set a foundation, compared to the other people that, like I said, Prof is always trying to intimidate me. You know, I don't know why.
I'll allow you to do one more story and then we go.
Build
one more story in the Ghanaian Times newspaper.
One more story, the Ghanaian Times newspaper.
Anointing oil did it for Naporo. What else? Because you're holding anointing oil and kneeling around.
Don't ridicule the
exhibiting.
Don't ridicule the Christian faith.
I'm not doing it. Sorry, Muslims use don't.
That's what I'm saying. Don't do that.
No. Muslims use anointing oil as well. But has he not been holding anointing oil?
I have not seen.
It's not about religion.
It's about religion. I have not seen.
You've not seen a photo of him.
I have not seen a photo.
I'll show you a photo of him.
There's that story about protect us against land guards.
Oh, okay. Brekusu. Okay, let me do that. Page 3 of the Ghanaian Times. It says that protects us against land guards at Brekusu Estate Company. The Comet Properties Limited, a real estate company at Brekusu. I'm reading.
Belgrave, I need to show you the photo with the anointing oil so your viewers would agree that I'm not.
I'm reading.
Okay. Prof. Your production needs that.
Oh, yeah, it's okay.
I told you, Prof is distracted me.
No, it's okay.
No, but you've admitted that you've seen it with anointing oil.
I haven't seen it. The Comet Properties Limited, a real estate company at Brekusu Eastern Region, has appealed to the National Security Minister and the Police Administration for urgent protection against land guards who are raiding the area. The management of the company alleged that individuals armed with sophisticated weapons and with bulldozers frequently trespass its properties, destroying buildings and farms, allegedly sent by Ni Odai Into family from Ashoman and Kwabenya in the Greater Accra region. So I think that it's in good order. I mean, if you are being troubled by land guards, the right place to go to is the police and the national security. So,
Prof. Khalid,
yeah,
let's get into your paper now.
Well, my paper, I'm ignoring certain things and going for the social issues for now, at least. Bauxite Parliament rectifies Ghana Bauxite Company's mining lease. That's quite an interesting story because this made the rounds and became a political...
You need to let Ghanaians know what is on the front page.
I would do that.
Oh, but we talked about it. In the beginning, we already announced that
it'll amount
to headlines for all the papers.
No, but it will be amount to flogging a dead horse. We all knew this.
You see the word he has used.
Oh, no.
He used
I said it will amount to flogging a dead horse.
No, that's a
proverb.
Saying.
Well, you need a PhD in idiomatic expression.
He hasn't actually been announced to the whole world yet that he is the running mate. It's just that the Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, has presented his name to the President.
But it's on the front
and the National Executive Council have to sit.
So let's read very important social subjects, right? Parliament has unanimously ratified the mining lease granted by the government of Ghana to the Bauxite Company in Awaso in the Bibiani municipal in the Western region. This was after a joint parliamentary committee of Mines and Energy and Lands and Forestry presented its reports to the House yesterday. The Ghana Bauxite Company, which has been in existence for over 80 years, is the only bauxite mining company in the country. The Awaso Bauxite Mine, it's an integral part of the government's policy to build an integrated aluminium industry in the country. The Ghana Integrated Aluminium Development Corporation, which was established to promote the developed integrated aluminium industry in the country, has identified the mine as one of its 4 projects to build an integrated industry.
So the government, the government has signed a new mining lease.
Yes.
Through the Ministry of
Lands and Natural.
But interestingly, there's some aspect of it that I think we need to eliminate, which says that there's a sort of a sub to it, which is divestiture. The government therefore decided to divest its interest in the company. So it's not going to be a government affair here. In 1997, a Canadian company acquired 80% stake in the company, with the government holding only 20%. A British multinational Rio Tinto, acquired the interest in the company before selling same to another group. In 2022, however, Opoku Company Limited, a wholly owned Ghanaian company, acquired 80% stake held. So that's quite interesting. So a wholly owned Ghanaian company is now holding the 80% stake. Well,
it's better than giving it to better than giving it to a British.
Well, I'm not saying it's a bad
than
thing.
giving it to a British.
It's not politics we're doing. We're just
but then, of course, you need to stay.
All right. So again, 7.3 million Ghanaians.
We're on him now.
This is from the Ghana Statistical
And that's the last
Service.
story we do. We have.
Okay, 7.3 million Ghanaians, multidimensionally poor. That's quite an interesting. It's quite a heavy.
That's the liberation we need.
Yes, yeah, of course.
Would you agree, Paul Grave?
That we need.
And I'm going to dig into that story.
7.3 Ghanaians are multidimensionally poor.
Multidimensional.
There was a report. You didn't see that?
I did. I read that.
They're multidimensionally poor, and the majority of that number is people whose head of house or whose family head is in agriculture.
Household heads, yeah.
Household heads. Mm-hmm. So farmers.
But why is the government spokesperson on security and governance acting surprised at this?
He says he knows about it. I'm just giving him details of the report.
Okay, but you're expressing surprise from your face as though it's new.
I'm expressing the emphasis of the conversation.
But what do you think about that?
No, well, I think
7.3 million. What's the population of the country now?
Oh,
maybe 32, 34, thereabouts.
Okay,
yeah. Well,
7.3 million.
No, you see, I think that Ghana is a developing country. Okay, definitely you have marginalized people, you have people that are below the belt who are poor, which is why they are alleviating poverty programs that the government of President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo has put in place, which is why there are social intervention programs to put pocket in the pocket of Ghanaian people. Look at the free SHS that we have brought. It's putting money in the hands of parents.
Did you say free SHS is putting money in the hands of parents?
Of course. I mean, churches have even stated that now people don't come and ask for school fees anymore. Orphans who ordinarily orphans. It's quality.
Oh, it's about the
quality.
So
look,
why is this government?
Can I build it? Orphans who ordinarily would go through the junior high and finish senior high, junior high and stop and not go again. Today, most of the orphans are in senior high school.
And I think that's fantastic.
Extremely fantastic.
Nobody is saying free SHS is bad. Why are you objecting to a review of this policy? And as we speak, there's actually no policy framework on this free SHS program. The ranking member on education, Nochukutoi, was saying that he was on the AM show, was saying that there's no policy framework, and he's requested from it for so many times. They keep saying they'll send it to him. He hasn't received anything. So we are operating this program, this beautiful program that you say has onboarded millions of people. For which reason you say it's putting money in the hands of Ghanaians, but we don't have any policy documents that regulate, and this government is saying they don't want to review it.
I doubt to think that there's no policy
document. Law.
Yes, I doubt to think that there's no policy documents. I mean, I doubt to think.
Have you received any policy? Have you seen any policy?
No, let me build a point. I doubt to think that there is no policy document. Because you see, there is no way that will implement such a successful policy project from the government without a
education falls under the purview of national security. Education is national security.
Come on.
Speaking for governance and security, and there's nothing within the confines of his office, then it's problematic.
But then you cannot state
education is security.
But you cannot state that there's no policy. There's no way we would.
Is there a policy or not?
Of course, there's a policy.
Where's the policy?
Of course, there's a policy.
Point us to the policy.
There is no way. That's what I'm saying. There is no way. There is no way we. There's no way. There is no way we would implement such a policy. We've implemented this policy. It was in our manifesto. It was in our manifesto.
But that's not a policy.
That's what I'm saying. No, hold on. It was in our manifesto. We used it to campaign. We won the election. We picked it up from the manifesto into a government policy. And we have implemented it. We've implemented a very successful policy. If there's no policy framework, there's no way we could have implemented this.
The policy.
There's no way we could have implemented it.
Funding in and of itself became a problem.
So
you had to dip your hands into oil money.
But then
monies that were not meant for it.
Gentlemen,
you see, it is important.
I'll give you each a minute to wrap up.
Now, let me read my story here. It's very important story.
We do have to.
Yeah, according to the government statistician, Professor Samuel Kobna-Enin, who are quite closely, he's a very good man. I would say. Good morning, Prof. So is that 7.3 million Ghanaians multidimensionally poor, right? So it says nearly 1 out of every 4 Ghanaians are multidimensionally poor. facing deprivation in health, right, education. They're talking about free SHS, but this is what the government statistician and the Ghana Statistical Service is saying. Education, employment, and living conditions are considered poor. Right? A report released by the Ghana Statistical Service. This is not a report released by the NDC. This is a report released by the independent Ghana Statistical Service saying this. This means that 24.3% of Ghanaians are multidimensionally poor. Employment dimensions contributes the most, right? So even under NAPCO and all of these things, the Statistical Service is still saying this is what it is. This is not me saying, this is not the NDC saying. Poverty at 32.6%, followed by living conditions and education 17.8% dimensions, and the free SHS, supposedly. But we have this, and this is coming from the Ghana Statistical. I mean, so what it tells you is that if you go on the trajectory of sloganeering, right, 1D1F, free SHS, without concrete policies built to anchor these slogans and converting them into policies, the Statistical Service report would expose you. And that's what has just happened. So all of what monies have been spent into, look at NAPCO and how much money we poured into it. Where are they now? We literally just shut it now.
Okay. Palgrave, how do you respond to this? And then we can wrap up.
You know, sweetie, NAPCO was a very good intervention from government. Young people stayed home without skills. Government put in an intervention. SOL governments never thought of that. So I can admit very much so that NAPCO has been a blessing to the Ghanaian people. I can also admit the challenges that they are in. I know that there are some allowances that are yet to be paid, and all of that is going to be paid. So really, I mean, if the government statistician does his work, which is good for policy review and policy conversations and all of those other things, I think it's fair for us to know what is happening in the country, and then we'll use that to advise policy. But we can't capitalize on that.
Sweetie, when we're talking about employment.
You see, throughout our conversation this morning, I realized that this is the first time you've admitted that there are some challenges.
Oh, I admitted.
When I asked about if this choosing NAPO was a strategy, the delay in announcing him was a strategy, we went round. You never really answered that question. Again, on free SHS, I asked why you were so, why you are refusing to review the policy. You haven't answered that yet. You say that there's a policy document. And I want to go back, and because I want to use your words, I do not want to misquote you. You said that the longer this government stays in power, the more or the better they can liberate us from whatever we need liberation from. In giving me your, a wrap of your thoughts this morning, I want you to touch on all these key things that we actually need clarity on. Also because you're government spokesperson on government and security.
Sweetie, you don't have a problem. I have stated that if the government of Ghana and the government of President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo does not have a policy framework for free senior high school, there's no way we would have implemented it to the much admiration of the Ghanaian people and the continent of Africa. That's one. Number two, admiration.
Where are you inferring this from?
Are you co-hosting?
No, I'm just asking a question.
No, but you're distracting.
Let me do the probing for you. So, where are you inferring? What are you inferring this admiration from?
No, but then it's the success of the policy implementation. It's the results and the output of that.
So, is that why you're refusing to review it?
No, I don't think that the government is refusing to review it. Okay. Not at all. I don't think that has come up for a conversation because every single.
It's not come up for a conversation.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think that it has come up for a conversation not to review it.
Okay.
Okay. Yes. I mean, because every single policy, absolutely, every single policy that you have in government obviously goes through the various trajectory of review.
So why the rush to turn it into a law when there's already a law that encourages progressively free senior high school education?
I think that is the moral decision, really, that the legislative arm of government represents everybody in this country. And so we want the legislative arm of government to take that oath and put it into law and state that for the rest of the Ghanaian history of life, we would ensure that the lowest level that every single Ghanaian will have is a senior high school certification. I don't think that is wrong at all. It's up to Parliament to decide or not.
All right. Our time is up. Prof. Khalid, you have a minute to wrap your thoughts.
Well, I mean...
do that without...
He talked about NAPCO interventions and all of that. But the point is, when you look at the labor market and you look at human behavioral issues within labor market, right? When you bring someone into a job that has no security, pays a said person a bit of money, right? And let the person go without that salary that was trickling in, now the person becomes unemployed and the person has no choices, right? Studies show that it increases social vices more than ever before, right? So if you think that you've really done something by introducing NAPCO and shutting it, it was a good program, why didn't you continue with it?
That's it?
Yeah, so let's go for sustainable interventions and not slogans.
Okay. Before we go, though, I want to announce a special invitation. The Vice-Chancellor has the pleasure of inviting you to the inaugural lecture by Professor Daniel Frimpong-Ofori, and on the topic of Indomie, Calipo, and condoms, an intimate conversation about corporate social responsibility in Ghana. And this is happening at the University of Ghana on 27th of June, that is today, Thursday, at the Great Hall of the University of Ghana at 5 p.m. And so the Vice-Chancellor is inviting all who are interested, that's it on your screens, to join them for that conversation. It's an interesting topic of Indomie, Calipo, and condoms, an intimate conversation about corporate social responsibility. I think that if I find the time, I want to go and listen to what they're saying. But there are some messages here. Happy birthday to Mrs. Abigail Ekua Yankson. May the good Lord bless you. May He give you long life with good health and prosperity. May He grant you your heart's desire. Once again, happy birthday from your one and only husband, Mr. Richard Kofi Ewa. Richard is a cameraman here at Multimedia. That's a lovely message going out to your wife this morning. And so that's how we're wrapping up for this morning's News Review segment, proudly brought to you by Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic. And they're offering free prostate screening and free fertility screening at their various branches here in Accra. You can find them on Springtex Road and so many other points. My name is Sweetie Aboshi, and my guest this morning was Palgrave Boache Dankwa, government spokesperson on governance and security. And Professor Khalid Mahmoud Sharif, associate professor of accounting and finance.
Palgrave holds the most sexy title in government.
No, he's brought me to explain the 24-hour.
Oh, look at you.
All right, thank you for watching. We will
quite like it. It's a big role,
coming up
isn't
next
it?
is sports. Stick and stay. Gentlemen.
My name is Haruna Mubarak. We begin with the African Athletics Championship, where Ghana's Abdul Rashid Saminu narrowly missed out on a medal, finishing fourth in the men's 200 meters final. The 23-year-old was initially placed third by the electronic timer, but was later moved to fourth, with Cameroon's Emmanuel Iseme taking the third spot. In the women's event as well, Mary Boache also finished fourth, missing out on a podium finish. Let's go for the highlights. Now, Member of Parliament for Dome Kwabenya constituency, Sarah Ajua Safo, has called on the Sports Ministry to pay more attention to emerging sports disciplines in the country, Reacting to a report by the Sports Minister Mustafa Yusuf on the floor of Parliament, the MP urged the minister to invest in constructing basketball courts to help develop talent similar to the investment in AstroTurfs for football.
It is the first time we've hosted it. I want to urge the private sector. Government cannot do it all. Government cannot do it all. So I was happy when the minister stated in his that indeed they had a lot of sponsorship or some sponsorship from the private sector, and then he went on to list a few. Mr. Speaker, I think that he should engage more of the private sector to invest in the sector. Mr. Speaker, as a country, we seem to be focusing too much on soccer, but there are other sporting activities. Mr. Speaker, you would agree with me that we're focusing over-emphasizing or over-focusing on sports. I think that there are other sporting activities that need a lot of investment, like table tennis, lawn tennis, running, and nowadays the young people are more also interested in the American sports. So, I will urge the Minister for Sports that we should move a little bit away from the traditional sporting activities that we are putting money into and look at the other emerging sporting activities. I know Nigeria is doing well when it comes to basketball. A lot of their students are getting scholarships to go to study in the United States and in Canada using that route of sporting activity, or basically basketball. I know that a few have been constructed, but I would urge the minister that as we do the AstroTurfs, as we do more of those investments, we should also think about how we are going to improve our basketball courts for the young ones.
To football, and the technical director of the Ghana Football Association, Professor Joseph Kwame Menta, has reviewed the association's dream of dominating world football through its elite talent identification. Launched in 2023, the project aims to identify and nurture the country's best youth players to form the base of the national teams. Professor Minta assured Ghanaians of the association's commitment to ensuring the success of the program.
Let me start with the long-term objective. The whole long-term goal or target is to unearth talents, develop talents, and develop the youth for our youth national team so that we can feed into the senior national team. For the short-term project is to scout the northern regions, the 3 northern regions, in terms of the talent that they have, Upper East, Upper West, and northern region, and put them in the academy, which is set up in Congo with Bolga Secondary School, Big Boss. We have already started the process to establish a second one in Ashanti region, Kumasi specifically, which will comprise of Brown Ahafo region, and then Ashanti region, students recruited from the basic schools to that academy. And then the same year, this 2024, we are opening another one in Greater Accra region. Hopefully it will be in Pram Pram. Then going forward, the target is to get every region one academy. So in all, we are looking at the 10 regional football regions. So maybe in the next 5, 6, 7 years, each region will have its own academy. And that is where you can assemble the best talents for each region. And then from there, we tap from the pool, and then they feed the youth national teams, and then grow to be part of the senior national teams for both boys and girls. My long-term goal is that Ghana should not run out of talent. Ghana should be the chain. The supply chain should keep going. And as a result, our target is to be in the World Cup, and if possible, conquer the world.
Now, the recently ended Ghana Premier League faced issues with officiating, with many believing the performances of match officials could harm its reputation. The awarding of goals and decisions by referees on the final day of the season did not sit well with many. In response, the referees manager of the Ghana FA, Alex Corte, believes that televising matches is the way to improve the performances of referees.
Senka ye benya nka ye match in your life. Any life match. Any life match. You see, because when there's a life match, the attention, the focus is on you. So you also will not want to go and do anything. You know, sell with integrity and answer. And to say much is in your life. But here again, it is up to the sponsors. The sponsors, anything say they cannot show all the matches. We can show about 4 matches. We cannot show this and that sort of thing. So I think that going forward, say if we can expand a little bit to get more coverage, more live coverages now. That's the first thing that I want to talk about. The second thing has to do with the referees themselves.
Okay.
The referees themselves. I always tell them, say, leave refereeing with a good name. Leave refereeing with a good name. Who feel referee man? Film senebeya. Ubi who baby. Obaka say, oh, as for this boy, when he was a referee, he was like this, he was like that, he was like that. You understand? If you are able to put that in your mind, then you can still say yes. I would continue to improve and all that.
And that's the end of sports on the AM show. My name is Harun Mubarak. Thanks for watching.
Coming up now on the AM show is AM Business, and today, carrying products in their crossed hands and supporting it with their stomachs and chest, these hawkers selling yam on the streets of some of Accra's busiest intersections have tried to create a unique market. For them, not everybody can go to the market to purchase yam. That is where they step in to provide commuters the products and add a little to earn a living. James Ashen visited yam sellers on some principal streets of Accra and explore the dangers they overcome to sell their product in the traffic in today's business journal.
How much is the yam? How much?
The yam.
Yam, 250.
250.
250.
Yes.
250 back.
Oh, Nina. Set
250.
2.5.
Those were voices of a yam seller and a buyer bargaining on the street of Accra. These yam sellers are gradually taking over some principal street of Accra in what has become a source of livelihood for many of them. They hawk the tubers in traffic-prone areas, trying to catch the eyes of commuters who may not have the luxury of going to the market during the week. Though a risky task, the able-bodied young men can be seen running and chasing vehicles, all in the bid to sell their tubers of yam. The trade, which used to take place at designated market centers, has now been taken to major streets of the capital city, such as the Kaukudi Junction, Asylum Down Traffic Light, and the Accra Digital Center. Adams, one of the sellers, has been doing this for 14 years. Crossing his fingers and arranging the yams in 4, he chases almost every car to convince the passengers to make a purchase. He tells me he plies his trade on the pavement due to unemployment.
I've seen you with this, I don't know the kilograms, but I should believe it's very heavy. I've seen you carrying 1, 2, 3, 4. Aren't you tired?
Yeah, the yams is very weight. It get very get weight. So if you are not carried like this, maybe some ways you don't want like 2 or 3, want like plenty like this, 4 pieces like this. But if you all like this, some ways 1 or 2. If you remove some giver,
For how long have you been selling the yam by the roadside?
Almost. I'll start it to 2010. 2010.
So that's like 14 years?
Yes.
But aren't you bothered looking at the risk involved selling by the roadside? Are you not bothered? Are you not worried selling by the roadside?
Oh, I'm worried, but how can I do? I don't get any work to do it, so that I will manage it like that.
Although there are market centers such as the Kokumba Yam Market and the Hacho Yam Market, these young men resort to selling their product in traffic where they claim business is friendlier compared to the market centers. They also say there are no spaces in the market.
Sometimes some people know if you go market because of the traffic and like government work like this, you go work, you don't get time to go inside there. And some plenty people will bring some stories so if we sell it out so that we'll get it bite, so that you get this bite. And you not get time to go market buy some. Maybe sometimes when you are there, maybe the time where you go work or you go home. So if you buy, so that you'll get time. You see, you'll get help them.
So as you do this for like 14 years, you know, you say car knock down some bro or some kid or something of that sort where they sell the yams from?
Oh, no.
So to you guys, it's very safe doing this by the roadside?
Yes. I said we know because we are yache, but one day cry fiancé and them say ebia car by the road cars and say bisa because I know quite there. I'll pray God anytime because God will survive where we are there here because anytime we are there the traffic up and down like this but you say we are BBS accident and I say car by the road ni na no dependent so by now okita when wetin obi on ni baby kura na wa anya car accident sa na mana eta sine ye wakuma mu ni so by now okita there you no ye ndi bone and the second lesson no we bi mu o mu ye traffic on say ya kronfo David because I don't know obi o ye kronfo no timi begina kita side way so beton David until the more no say ya wa no inti so that obi ka say yeah timi obi ka say obu wa we no all traffic no ye timi da dance say ya ye ton bar no free akọ baby kura won obi o ton bar traffic ma man dream bone ma no.
On prices and profitability, these yam sellers admit their yams are quite expensive compared to what is sold at the market. They tell me they make some good money on the street.
Masa opeja obi bia to kamu obako cross aba one fashion.
Now let's look at the prices of the yam. How is it now?
The yam now the price go day top. And now
so how much is this for? 1, 2, 3, 4.
The normal price will be 200.
200. So basically it's like 50 cedis for each.
Yes.
So if I'm to come to buy this for and I'm to ask for reduction, what will be your least amount you sell this?
No, if that's the last price 200. But before you ask me that, I will give you the price 250. 250 or 260 so that I go do some come the normal price. But sometimes you get the small ones too. They sell it 150. The whole at the 150. Now the top, the price the top.
Because the supply no they come, yam no they town plenty.
Yam they buy the I don't understand because yam they if you go market now they go say yam they plenty, but the price they top. I don't understand because some people say because of the petrol or this and diesel, you're crazy everything so that. The secondary, the road no good. Before this thing, cargo car go carry and come here. Maybe will take almost 1 week. First, if the road good there, 2 days go reach here. See, maybe go take almost 1 week. You see, say that now this in petrol to the top, because of this thing all man.
So that be why the yam price go up.
Yes.
But previously, how much would you have sold these ones? How much was this for?
Where?
Yeah, and I say, yeah. Previously, like 2 months ago, how much were you go sell this for? Yeah.
Maybe 2 months ago, there we go sell it 100 cedis, 120. Yes. Sometimes 150. Sometimes 150. And now the thing go top too much. We sell the way how the thing go top like this, you know, if you sell it too much, because of no be anybody fit buy it. No be everybody go fit buy it. You see, because the price dey top. If like the price dey down there, go say one day could fit sell 100 pieces. Now the price dey top, but if someone will fit come ask you, you got give them the price. You know fit buy. The price dey top.
Samuel Mensah, a regular customer, said he's content with buying from the street. He has said buying from the street saves time and is convenient.
Oh,
that is sad about a boy new.
Now that's not money boy. I was I am 1, 2, 3, 4. 250.
Now, okay, shall we first? Your turn no winning in us 50 cities.
First, when you know 50
cities, but now there's that no one our Kosopa.
When you know 50 cities.
First,
in this year, send up 200 cities.
Yeah, 200.
No.
Well, last.
Me talk yes.
Oh, but good then bet my demo 80 cities. And send a bet my ton that can.
Yam baku 80 cities.
Send a bet my so opening in the better buy for the all there.
Wait, it's too much.
Well, but fine, I do.
Nabi, and the yam, come on, yam. Baku say 80 cities. Last price was over 10 already. Oh, the way last price.
You want one or all?
I want one.
Only one.
Only one.
You gotta give me 75.
No. Still the price is up. Still the price is up.
You make it 70.
No.
70 cities. One.
No. Why?
But if you order, I will take you 200.
200.
Yes, by one there 70 cities because so that I will sell the rest. See?
So if 200, one be 50
cities. But if one or one there.
Okay, you are here.
Okay. So and I'm from home.
Yeah.
Ada what's coming so?
It's coming so.
Oh, look at that. Let's marry you. Let's marry you.
This guy is.
Oh, let's marry you somewhere.
Nah, where woman? Any a day and a week. I say my mommy wife chop money best will 1,000 cities. And now 2,000. 5,000 cry so no.
I saw you bargaining with the yam seller. What was he saying?
Oh, he said the yam, the 4 of the yam. No, he said 250 cedis, and I said 250 cedis. Why? And he told me that this one first like the 4 or you give it to me like maybe 50 cedis for the 4. But now it's not like that. So right now things has go expensive because of the dollar, so it makes things hard for the system inside. Right now the youth, why we for die? See how things they go up like that. Why? What? Oh, see right now, cry if you go work and give somebody cry, no one pay you. Where this tuber of yam 4 pieces, only 2.5. No.
So one may ask, we have the markets here. We have some of the sellers in the market. Why did you choose to buy by the roadside?
Oh, by the roadside, I be it will be hustler. It be hustler. Into travel from hometown way, can't hear way to the can't hustle. Me I like they buy for roadside because those people where they sell for the roadside. That will be them a business way they do. You have so when they sell for the roadside, how come I no go buy for them for them are there for the roadside? Me I be roadside buyer. Somebody to be market buyer.
Aren't you bothered about the fact that selling by the roadside it's very risky?
In terms of what? Like maybe
cars and all that.
The cars and this one selling by the roadside. Yeah. It's very because work is not there. Ejuma ni o ma animu. Ejuma be na wo ma animu. Ejuma be na wo ma animu.
Now let me bring you back to the conversation of the prices. And some months back when you were buying at the roadside, how was it like compared to today?
Oh, see here. Say market first price, any there. No. Too much. Actually, too much.
The yam sellers tell me they are not happy with where they sell, but have to manage and make some money for their households. For Joy Business, James Ishen.
Welcome back. It is the AM show and we get into the big stories. We're going to be talking about the politics of things, and definitely you've heard by now that a certain Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh, Energy Minister, has his name submitted as the running mate for Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, flag bearer of the NPP. But we're going to be looking at the salient details of all of this. What does it mean? A male-male ticket versus a female-male ticket, or a male-female ticket. There are so many dynamics. We'll be joined by a guest shortly. But here with me, Sweetie Abochi, decked in black.
Benjamin Akakbu.
Men in Black is out, the latest in the series. Are you a lady in black?
I am a lady in black.
Is it? No. It's not even Men in Black.
My glasses
it's not Men in Black. It's what's the Bad Boys? Bad Boys.
Oh yes, the latest. I've seen it.
I got confused because Will Smith is in there and he was in Men in Black. So Bad Boys is out, but at least you ain't a bad girl.
So I'm looking forward to understand.
No, I want us to focus.
No.
Are you a bad girl or not?
I'm a very good girl, Benjamin. Thank you very much. Yes.
Let me ask the director. Forsen, can you confirm that information, please?
Hey, Benjamin Akapu. Anyway, but Benjamin, because I want to deviate from where you are going, I'm looking forward to understanding whether this was a strategy all along. You know, Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh's name had been tipped long ago that he was the preferred choice. And then there's that leaked NIB report projecting him as a preferred candidate. Indeed. And so did the NPP
Is it all coincidence?
All along?
Is it coincidence?
You know what I mean?
And you know what else I find interesting? Only yesterday, a friend of mine who is in the States was telling me, but wait, what is the strategy of the NPP? Look at the time.
5 months to elections.
Why are they waiting so long? And I said that, look, I have said this before. It could be a strategy too, because look, if I look at all of those who were put forward, and we'll be looking at some of those who had been touted as likely pairings for Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, all of them come with some baggage.
Yeah.
Right? And then the point would have been, okay, so can we prolong this so that when we expose this person, the flack, the lampooning will be minimal.
Yeah, the bad press.
The bad press.
Yeah.
I don't know I'm not a strategist for the NPP, but whatever it is, we're going to be analyzing those issues. But quickly, let's look at some of those who were seen to be in pole position to take the slot. And maybe you can walk us through the first few, and I'll take the next set. Okay, so we have in there Prof from the KNUST. Of course, she had come in as an academic and a bit of a surprising add-on. And then we also had, let me just get this in here so that I can see all the dynamics very clearly. So there was the KNUST Vice Chancellor who recently has been confirmed as well. And there it is. So we had Professor Rita Akosia-Dixon, Vice Chancellor at KNUST, aged 54 from Asante Mampong, and a pharmacist. And of course, it was relevant because she is from the Ashanti region. Then we also had Dr. Henry Kwabena Kukofu, who is 64 years from Adiabeba in Kumasi, and his profession is a lawyer. He's been a special envoy on climate. Then we also had Ursula Wusu-Ekufu. Why is it interesting? The Minister for Communications. She's from Achimota, a lawyer, 59 years. Recently, she was saying that it is disrespectful that people are pitching themselves, huffing and puffing, shoving, trying to get that slot, and that they should allow Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia to choose his person. He has done that now. There was also from right here in Osu, Accra, and Osu is critical. In fact, Accra is critical. The Greater Accra region is critical. Anytime you lose the Greater Accra region, it may well mean that you are losing the national election as a presidential candidate. There was Irina Toshi Ado Latte from right here in Osu, Accra, 54 years, one of the youngest, and she's also a lawyer. Then there was the 69-year-old Apostle Professor Opoku Onyina, former chairman of the Church of Pentecost from Eduman, and he is a theologian. He was obviously overlooked. Then there was Akosia Frema Osei Opare, Chief of Staff, Office of the President, 77 years, one of the oldest from Rwemwase, a lecturer. And then we had the last two. Now we're going to focus here a bit. 60-year-old Dr. Yao Osei Educhum. Now, do you know the interesting bit there? Educhum was deputy to Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh. Then he became substantive minister. Yeah. Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh was carted off to the energy ministry. So it was basically someone against his former deputy. And he is an educationist, of course, aged 60. But let's look at the Minister for Energy, whom we now know has been selected. Of course, it awaits the approval of the National Executive Council. Yeah. He is from Pechi number 2, 56 years, and he's the Minister for Energy. He's a medical doctor. Now, it makes for some interesting analysis there because the bit about the economy and heading the economic management team and all of that has come to the fore. How would such a, vice fare? But these are the dynamics. These are the interesting pictures. For me, one of the interesting things, a male-female ticket versus a male-male ticket. And that's the tail of the tape. But let's quickly bring in our guests this morning as we zero in on the major issues. All right, so we'll be bringing in Professor Kobi Mensah. He joins the conversation. Prof, a very good morning to you. Thank you for joining the conversation.
Absolutely beautiful morning. How are you doing?
I am very well. It's a pleasure having you. We also have Dr. John Osai-Kwapong, a CDD fellow, joining the conversation. Good morning.
Good morning, Benjamin.
It's really good having you join this conversation. So, gentlemen, something is coming, something is coming. That thing has finally come. I just want your brief assessments of this candidate that has been selected, whether you were surprised in any way, and what, on the very surface of things, this means. Professor Kobi Mensah, I've seen you, for example, posting on X about what this would mean, Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh pairing with Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. But I'll start with you, Doc, on the other end, in terms of what your assessment is of how things have gone. Dr. Osai-Kwapong.
Yes, good morning once again. Well, I am not particularly surprised. I think that anyone who has followed at least the conversation on social media, I have been of the opinion that there has been this both subtle and overt campaign for the energy minister. And so at a certain point, you started getting this, at least I started getting this impression that there are certain key voices, there are certain key faces who are really trying to project and essentially make a case for him as the potential running mate for the vice president. So I wasn't particularly surprised that yesterday his name came up as the candidate or the person whom the vice president has submitted his name for consideration, especially too on the back of the NIB poll/survey last week, that this just became a confirmation of some of the things that I have observed, in following this development in the party very closely. There are some signals from the Ashanti region that I suspect went into the decision on settling on a running mate from the Ashanti region. I mean, of course, the Ashanti region is the biggest base of support for the party. And so, as Professor Jampo has, said previously, they will still vote for the NPP anyway. But I also think that given some of the things that I had observed from some of their polls, and other surveys, so if you go back to Afrobarometer around 9, if you look at in 2022, if you look at Global Info Analytics, if you look at Professor Smart Sapong's poll, particularly on voting intentions and the number of would not vote undecided that you were seeing in the Ashanti region, I became of the opinion that you needed someone from the region that could help you deal with some of the signals of apathy that were coming through some of these surveys and polls. And if you look at the names, for me, he is the candidate that, in my personal opinion, could help you bridge some of that gap and help you deal with some of those issues and challenges in the region.
Right. Professor Kobi-Mensah, what's your take on that? I know you saw this coming. You forecast this, but what exactly do you make of it now that it has actually happened, awaiting the approval of the National Executive Committee?
All right, thank you. Let me say hi to John. And then also, you see me in my tie. My provost, Professor Ofori, is actually having his inaugural. So we're excited here. We're inviting all of you there. Okay, now, clearly, I wouldn't say that I particularly predicted it, because I think it was obvious. A lot of people had actually, sort of expected, like John said, a NAPO's, candidature. Why? Because, if you look at the park of the people that actually came out, the list, certainly he was the one, standing tall. Why am I saying that? NAPO has actually worked for this party since students' days, all right? He's been there, for a very long time as a student, politician, or if you want to call it that way. He had actually served in his constituency for quite some time now, and one of the people who have a very stable constituency, in terms of popularity, even when the majority leader's popularity was actually waning, and NAPO has a very stranglehold over his constituency. Don't forget where he's coming from. You have a very powerful stakeholder, in this particular space. And so certainly you're going to have some kind of contribution in terms of voice, coming from certain quarters that you can't actually ignore. And then, of course, he has actually held two powerful ministries. I mean, Ministry of Education and Ministry of Energy, regardless of your position, whether you think that he performed or not. I mean, these are prominent positions he's occupied. So no doubt he's one of the, pillars of the political party that we are talking about, the NPP. And so for me, and I also look at it from that perspective that he has the drive. If you look at those, that were listed, I can actually tell you that NAPO has a certain, a certain oomph. He has a certain drive. You might like it or not. You probably might think that is a negative energy, but no doubt that everybody knows that he's an action guy. Take it or leave it. And so if I compare all those people that have been mentioned and their kind of profile, I think that we were expecting that NAPO would be the running mate to be pairing the flag bearer.
Okay, let me now bring in the Deputy Secretary for the NDC, Mustafa Bande. He joins us on phone. Mustafa, good to have you on the program. So the Energy Minister has been presented to the President as the choice of the grassroots of the party to pair Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia for the elections 2024. How does that make you feel? And I'm talking about the whole NDC. I mean, they are your biggest opponents come December 2024. And Mustafa is on Zoom. Mustafa, how does all this make you feel?
Okay, so thank you very much and good morning to other intellectuals on the other side. We congratulate him, and we in the NDC were not surprised because obviously for a politician, there would be a calculation of regional representation. So we believe that NAPO's choice represents more of a regional balance other than an issue of competence and credible track record. In fact, it is good that the NPP have chosen him from Ashanti region. We all know that he was in the race with Aduchum, who are all former ministers of education. And so obviously, if you look at the time that Aduchum came into the political scene, and if you compare that to NAPO, who have been around from those days to Parliament, Ministry of Education, and all of that, then you will obviously, as a grassroots party, believe that NAPO should be placed ahead of Aduchum. Also because Napo is currently the Minister of Energy, who is a money bag for if you want to take the government. And so in terms of leveraging on financial resources...
What do you mean by money bag, Mustafa?
Well, I mean, we all know the scandals that have hit the Ministry of Health. We all know that. It's not hidden. If you take a Minister of Education and if you take a Minister for Energy, you would obviously go for the Minister of Energy because he is the money bag. We all know that. Now, ahead of that,
Mustafa,
just hold. You just said Ministry of Health. You mentioned health somewhere.
No, I said Ministry of Energy.
You mistakenly mentioned health. But what do you mean? What do you mean by this money bag thing? It's not so clear. The fact that he's a Minister of Energy does not... How does he become Mr. Moneybags?
We'll come to that conversation.
No, let's come to that now. Let's come to that now.
Of course, we all know the conversation around the deals that have been signed at the Ministry of Energy.
Like which
one?
We
know that...
Like which one?
The Cosmos Energy, the one that involved Talo, recently signed. You knew what was around it. And so we cannot pretend we don't know.
I don't know. Tell me.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying that today, I just mentioned it in passing, but we will come to elaborately assess who Napo is. We all know that his selection is not on the basis of competence, because if you look at competence, he solved not a single problem in the Ministry of Energy. We all know that.
So just clarify for me. Are you then saying that you are impugning? Basically, you are suggesting that he was chosen not on the back of credibility or what he has brought to the table, but because he has the support of the grassroots. Clarify for me. And you're also saying...
Not the grassroots. He has the support. Obviously, he's coming from the Ashanti region, which is NPP's stronghold. But apart from that, it is not on the basis of merits in terms of track record, in terms of credibility, in terms of performance. You and I know that if you look at all President Akufo-Addo's ministers, Napo is one of the worst performing ones. You know that, and I know that. So, he is the one that spearheaded the implementation of the raw free senior high school policy we are battling with today. Good policy, wrongly implemented. Napo was leading it. If you look at the Ministry of Energy today, how much does it cost an ordinary Ghanaian to lose home appliances, to incur high cost of energy in terms of inability of government to deal frontally with the DUMSO issues? And so clearly, Napo wasn't selected on the basis of competence. He wasn't selected on the basis of experience. He wasn't selected on the basis of track record. It is just merely on the basis of regional balance. He's from Ashanti region. That is how the NPP have used Ashanti region for the very wrong reasons of political expedience.
This is someone who has been in parliament for about 20 years, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's 2004 or 2008, thereabouts, when he came through. And you're saying experience. But just to clarify this for me, so you're saying that on the back of his reputation, this makes him an easy or soft target for the NDC. It appears you've started hitting him very early, even before the confirmation.
There's nothing easy in the 2024 election. But when a political party recycles incompetence, when a political party recycles non-performance for the purposes of political sloganeering and expedience, then it is for the public to judge. Napo has been in parliament for over 20 years. Yes. Has he justified that in the positions he's held, both from Ministry of Health, Ministry of Education, and today Ministry of Energy? Has he impressed you? Has he been able to solve the problem that confronted those ministries? Napo is the manufacturer of Adumse, which is an amendment to what we call DUMSO. People are testaments of the fact that they are confronted with DUMSO, which is a challenge, a national challenge. We are not spinning to blame who, but at a time we needed solution. Ghana needs solution to an energy crisis. He has been the minister. He hasn't done anything. So how do you promote such an incompetent person to now become a vice president? It means that we are heading to doom. And so at the back of these, the NDC believe that yes, is a good selection. It also means that we would then compare Napo and Professor Jenana Opoku Prempeh, which at the right time will come to your table and will speak to the credentials. But in the meantime, we are not so worried about Napo's appointment. We believe that it's a recycle plant, incompetence to incompetence and arrogance. That is what the NPP have just done for political purposes. Let's select somebody from Ashanti region who will be able to get a lot of votes from Ashanti region at the back of failure to deliver, failure to develop Ashanti region, which is the stronghold of the NPP. Let us select somebody. And I think that is failing on the ground, you know.
All right, Mustafa, thank you for those thoughts. Let's get to some of our other guests.
Yes, let me come to Dr. Osai Kwapong. Doc, in terms of strategy, I mean, it's just 5 months to elections now. It means that if the energy minister is eventually named and announced to the public that he's the preferred choice as running mate to Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, he has to resign. And what Mustafa is saying that he was selected because of his appeal to from the Ashanti region, would that be so bad? And if this is a strategy, what is wrong with first the timing and the choice of this man because of where he comes from, the Ashanti region? How do we marry all these issues?
Well, in terms of political strategy, it is not a bad political strategy. As I said, if you look at some of the signals from the Ashanti region, and then even just real quick, I mean, our political parties, or at least if I look at the NPP, they've always tried to do the regional balance over the years. So whenever, they've always had a presidential candidate from the southern part of Ghana. They've balanced the ticket then with a candidate from the northern part of Ghana. And so when Dr. Bawumia was selected, I always said then this time the regional balance will be the other way around. Definitely they would pick a candidate from the southern part of Ghana. But if you again look at some of the signals from the Ashanti region, which is your biggest base of support, if you go all the way back to 1996, and you average the total share of NPP's votes that comes from the Ashanti region, it's about a third. The least they've gotten is 27% of the total from Ashanti in 2020. And you need a certain minimum to ensure that you can get to that.
Did you just say 27%?
Yes, 27%.
You mean so the national picture?
So if you take all their national votes together and you see the share that comes from Ashanti region.
Okay.
Right. In 2020 it was 27%, but it's always ranged anywhere between 27 and 31% since 1996, right? And you need a certain, you want to guarantee a certain minimum of that share of the vote. And if you pick on these signals that I'm talking about, then Ashanti region comes into very sharp focus. In this election. And so for me, as a matter of political strategy, you want to show up your base. You want the kind of candidates that would get you the most return from who you select to be the running mate. But at the same time, we also have to keep in mind that, I mean, at the end of the day, voters vote for the person who is on top of the ticket. Right? It doesn't mean that the running mate cannot help. It doesn't mean that the running mate cannot help you make the case. But in this election, though, I can see why you want to make sure that your what we've always been calling your World Bank, shows up and show up in their numbers for you. So for me, it's not a bad political strategy to be aware of some of these signals and find a way to respond to it to make sure that you are getting or you are guaranteeing the political returns that you generally get from your region with the biggest support for your party.
And in terms of some of the assertions that Mustafa Gbande made about he's only been selected, I mean, he's not selected based on competence. So first, let me find out from you, how does all the things that Mustafa Gbande said sit with you?
I mean,
calling him a money bag and all that, yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't expect that the opposition would rise up and cheer for the selection of a candidate by highlighting their positives, whatever they are. Obviously, they are going to highlight the things that they believe is a potential liability. Right. Yes, the Minister of Energy. I mean, if you go, I'm sure there will be challenges that they can point to, things that they feel does not make him, or at least makes him vulnerable to how they go about campaigning. But I'm sure in the Vice President's mind, he's also picking the person who can best partner him, one, for the purposes of the election, but also in the event that they do win, picking him also as the person who can best partner him to help him, govern. So I'm sure he's weighed all the pros and cons of the candidacy of someone like the energy minister. And at the end of the day, he sincerely believes that the positives outweigh the negatives. And therefore has settled on him as his candidate. But I do expect that the opposition would highlight some of those negatives. Already you've seen videos of certain inartful statements that he's made in the past already popping up on social media, and I expect that to continue. But they are I'm sure the party is fully aware of that and already have, a strategy to combat that, which they should. It's part of elections, it's part of politics.
Okay, we can go to other guests now.
Professor Kwame-Mensah, what's your take on that? It appears the onslaught has already started, even before the NEC confirms Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh, but justified? Let's reflect on the comments of Mustafa Gbande.
Obviously, I couldn't actually, comment on that because that's an opinion that he holds, for the MPPs.
Is that an opinion you share on any front?
No, of course, I would actually put it differently. Clearly, there are some informal, grapevine information that we've heard in terms of an opposing support to the flag bearers, course. And we have heard quite a number of people had contributed. But of course, in the grapevine, he probably was in the pole position having contributed. But that is not what we can actually admit because that is an informal information. I'm not privy to, I haven't actually seen any evidences of that. So I couldn't actually comment on that. But in terms of strategy, I would actually depart from John's position on a number of reasons. One, the MPP's own claim that they are resolving this. And remember, when people had said that perhaps Bawumia wasn't the best candidate, majority of the MPP's defense has been that if Bawumia is not selected, they're going to be still pinned up as a Kanestake, as a Shanti political party. And so to them, if they don't select Bawumia, people would say, oh, that's the status quo. You always use the North, and then you ditch them. And so they thought that even, if for nothing at all, to sort of clean up that particular image, they have to actually put Bawumia there. And I have always consistently said, you're wrong. In terms of strategy, I don't certainly agree with what you call regional balance. And that has actually been typical MPP approach going forward. I mean, when Kufuor actually selected, Aliyu Muhammad, that would have been it because exactly the same purpose, all right? They said that they wanted to show the country that it was unified, North and South balance. Now, if you had actually done that, the assumption is that you would have achieved that nationalistic posture, or people should have actually perceived you as nationalistic as opposed to sectionist. But then you keep repeating the same thing. It means that you haven't solved the problem. You keep doing the same thing. I keep saying that the idea that the MPP is actually Ashanti or Akan, if you broaden it, it is not because of a certain candidate coming from a certain place. I mean, look at the NDC. they do not actually say they have to balance the ticket. They choose their running mate, regardless of where they come from, all right? Now, you haven't actually had the NPP, attribute the same characteristics that the NDC attribute to the NPP to NDC. They haven't said that they are anti-Muslim or anti-Christian. They haven't said that they're anti-guns or anti-Nzimas, etc. But why is it that you always...
But the NPP hasn't said it is anti-anything either.
No, that's the point I'm saying. According to NPP, the NDC keeps saying that they are anti-North. They use the North and they dump them. And they want to solve that particular image. That's what they claim. And I'm saying it's a wrong understanding of what is happening. Because if that is the case, the NDC hadn't chosen a Ga before. Are they anti-Gans? But they win handsomely in Greater Accra. All right? At least if you look at the typical Ga areas, NDC wins. They haven't actually chosen Ewe before because Rawlings was just a default. All right? Would you say that they are anti-Ewes? So don't actually take responsibility for a propaganda if it's the case. But of course, it might not be propaganda because it could be your own behaviors. And I have said time and again, when the former finance minister was given the opportunity or had opportunity to brand or to label a budget, he kept on saying, Obatampa this, Obatampa that, what do you call, so many, languages that actually slip into Ashanti. So why wouldn't people have that perception? If you thought that it was a propaganda, you are actually, deepening it. That's my point. So the point I'm making is that it was a bad strategy if you want to solve that particular issue, which you probably had opportunity to solve earlier with Kufuor's elections, all right? Now, you go and take, Napo, who is actually also Ashanti, and you want to solve a certain image. Strategic will mean long-term, right? So strategically, if you take Napo and Bawumia doesn't win this election, what happens the next election? Certainly, you're having someone who is very ambitious. Nobody can doubt the idea that Napo is aiming at presidency. Now, in the next election, you're going to have a Napo candidacy. Haven't you gone back to square one? Exactly what you want to solve. So for me, and even when you talk about, the current election, if you want to win the current election, and people have said time and again, Ashanti is for you. You would terribly lose Ashanti if they believe and you believe that you had done absolutely nothing in that particular region.
Right.
But even you could have some kind of figureheads to actually argue your case out for you. Why should you go for Ashanti? I would rather go for Toshi because that's exactly. Because you want to demonstrate that you're not fully Ashanti or you're not Akanistic. You go for Toshi, and then you're saying that you're using that to address. Now you could talk about a proper, a deviation of what people had been accusing you of, all right? But you don't go for the same thing, knowing that in the next round, if you don't win, Napo is going to be on the ticket. You go back to the same issue. Okay. You know that you need a certain toss-up state, all right, to actually shore up your support. Why do you go for your base that you're likely to actually win that base? I don't get it.
Okay, I have an interesting bit for you. Just make it brief so that we can also bring in Mustafa Gbande again and go back to Doc. Are you saying then, two quick questions. One, that this Ashanti move could backfire? And two, I want to find out from you, do you think the NPP has to settle on Napo because maybe there is a lack of quality in there? There's been talk about we have the men. Just link those two for me, quickly.
Now, I have said on record that the current election is NPP's bad one. I mean, in terms of leadership. You don't select, Bawumia, someone who is very fresh in our minds in terms of delivery. He's failed. He has not answered the economic questions. He's now, since we started getting into this economic conundrum, Bawumia had never spoken on economy. It is very fresh in people's minds, all right? Then you go for Napo, whose personality is challenging. Nobody can actually doubt that. I really dread the combination in terms of even their camps, all right? In the elections, in the campaigning is a very heated period. I have no doubt there's going to be some kind of chaotic movement between the two. Unless they can sit down and work out really smooth working relationship, you're going to have a clash, all right? So I don't see how that really inure to the benefits of the NPP in terms of strategy. I would rather do something different. If indeed what they had said were their aims of solving some of these image issues, which I think they're actually beating themselves up for nothing. And then, of course, the strange idea of regional balance, really, in Ghana, I think that this is a Nigerian issue. In Ghana, people have actually chosen candidate South-South. By the way, choosing Napo doesn't mean South. South, you have Volta region. South, you have Greater Accra region. You have consistently chosen Ashanti, and then you say South-South. That is not South-South, all right?
Okay.
So I think that they probably could have been bold enough to shore up their bases in elsewhere that they are very weak at. I mean, in terms of the swing regions, if you really want to show a certain character departing from what people have actually been criticizing you. The front line was weak, to be honest. You know, in terms of the candidate that they chose for flag bearer was weak. I think that, you know, Alan Chamanti would have been extremely competitive for the NDC. The runner at the front line
for the MPP.
For the MPP, Alan could have been very competitive against the NDC. All right. Now, if you have a vice presidential candidate, frontliners, I don't think that Educhum would even cross your mind. Somebody who's actually superintended over very, very terrible education ministry. How do you really select Educhum? I don't get it. All right. So I think that this batch of MPPs, frontliners, completely weak.
Okay. So for context, before I go to Dr. Osai Kopon for my next question, Professor Kobi-Mensah is just saying that the front line is weak, his personality is challenging. Now this morning, we posted on our socials, do you think Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh, as running mate to Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, is the force the NPP needs to break the 8? And in about 2 hours, we have over 1,200 comments coming in. And I just want to read the first 3 that I saw when I opened the comment section. One says, I am an MPP member, but he doesn't deserve this slot because of his behavior. He doesn't respect. That is my fear. Second person, Kennedy, saying that just that his talks are very harsh. He doesn't respect others when he speaks. If he changed, fine, for the NPP. But if he doesn't change, he's not the right person for the party. Seriously, no. And the third comment says, not at all. Bawumia will not find it easy working with this man. He won't even obey him at all. So my question to you, Dr. Osai Kopon, does this ticket, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia paired with Napo, appeal to the Ghanaian voter, the voting population?
Time will tell, and we would see that. One quick thing, though, that I want to say in respect to what Prof said in terms of the regional balancing, right? I mean, the parties would not necessarily say that, but if you look at, for example, since 2000, and let's say on the NDC side, and the selection of the late Professor Mills as the candidate, you would see that all of his running mates came from, quote unquote, the southern part of Ghana. When former President John Mahama became the president, it became the other way around. So all I'm saying is that you tend to see our parties trying to do that balancing, even if they don't say it overtly. You see that through their actions. The other thing too is for the NPP especially, that regional balancing has actually paid off. If you look at their performance in the northern part of Ghana, you see a remarkable improvement. So that strategy has paid off more political dividends for them as a party than, in my estimation, looking at the data, it has for the NDC. But, Napo being the best candidate or the best person to pair Dr. Bawumia and give him that national appeal, I think time will tell. Eventually, like I keep saying, people vote for whoever is on top of the ticket. They're going to vote not for the vice president, they're going to vote for the president. Yes, the vice president, can help marshal up those votes. And at a time, as the campaign goes on, and particularly how they respond in terms of the Bawumia campaign, how they deal with a lot of the things that the opposition would point out, especially as I keep describing it in polite terms, some of the inartful things that he has expressed in response to issues that have come up. I'm sure they'll try to use it as a liability for him and the Bawumia campaign. And how they deal with it ultimately is what would make this a national appeal or a little more challenging for them. But time will tell.
Okay.
Mustafa, I have an interesting question for you. I saw a comment come through, and I know better, but I just wanted to run it by you. There's this one that says, let me just get to it. One dash Stinkone says, Nana Jane Opoku Agyemang or Jane Nana Opoku Agyemang has not achieved as greatly as Napo, that in terms of education, right, he has achieved better than she has. I don't know whether she's referring to his term as education minister or educational academic achievements. But on that front, how would you respond to someone like this who says on the academic front, Napo is better to serve the nation than Prof?
Well, thank you very much. I think basically, with the greatest of respect to that individual, he would have better helped the conversation if he took us to the indicators of measurement. Say, is it about free senior high school? Is it about infrastructure? Is it about stability of education itself? And in the vague manner in which the question is put, I'm not too sure where we are starting the conversation from. But I'm certainly aware that the NDC was voted out of power for some reasons of unsatisfactory performance. That is, if we are to assume that is the case, and voted in President Akufo-Addo with a belief that he is coming to solve all those problems. Now we'll get to a conversation to say, have they solved the problem in the last 8 years? Have they made it better? In the last 8 years, are teachers comfortable? In the last 8 years, what is the situation in terms of our quality education, in terms of infrastructure, even in terms of feeding students? What do we have today? In terms of policy implementation, have we been able to, put in a policy that is working effectively? The answer is no. We all know that it is no. When it comes to education, in the last 8 years, it has been poor performance. It is worsening today because students do not even have curricula to read. Today, if you go to schools, teachers are so uncomfortable because they can't bear the cost of living. Today, if you go to schools, our science laboratories are not working. Under NAPO, he actually awarded a contract for Wi-Fi in secondary schools when we don't have computers in the secondary school. So it's a conversation that is very broad. Now, the NPP would have to accept the fact that in the last 8 years, when you look at Ashanti region, where is their stronghold? Why I believe that they will select NAPO for the purpose of political expedience is that Ashanti region is their stronghold. No two ways about it. They've shown loyalty to the NPP. They are actually the reason why the NPP is in government today. Now, when you look at the West economic situation, Ashantis are business-minded people. They own small businesses. So the much more people who are affected in this country are Ashantis. All of their businesses have collapsed. Recently, the Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, was in Ashanti region. You saw the venom with which Ashanti business people spoke to the Vice President. Napo was in government in the last 8 years. He was actually a cabinet minister. So what influence does it bring to bear when it comes to Ashanti region? Today, the people are feeling that when it comes to measuring comfort in terms of their own government, they can't ride home with it. If you look at the micro effects, all the by-elections that were held in Ashanti region, Napo was present. All of these big wigs from Ashanti region were present. What was the response from the grassroots? Clearly, you will see apathy, which means that the people are not happy. Clearly, you will see typical NPP people speaking against their own government. It means that the government have not done anything in Ashanti region. So what is Napo going to change in the last 6-7 months if he is made a running? So I mean, President Akufo-Addo have not done a good thing to the NPP. He destroyed the image of the party in terms of its credibility. Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia have not shown seriousness. We all knew that. And so I wasn't expecting anything different from his choice. He, like Dr. Kobe Mensah said, he should rather be worried because the person he's choosing as his running mate will do him out of the equation at the right time. We all know that, and you will see it happen. Just keep this message, and you come and call me a prophet. It is not really about Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia becoming a president. It's about trying to position people so that we are back to square one. That is what it is. NPP is like that, and that is what they have always done.
All right. Let's proceed. Professor Kobe Mensah, let's talk about the impacts that this late announcement is going to have on our government, on our quest for development. I mean, an interim minister of energy would have to be appointed. He would have to resign a by-election. Cabinet will also have to make some administrative adjustments. Talk to me about the impact this late announcement and subsequent confirmation of Napo, who has all these, roles that he's currently playing.
See, I think that you know that the president has already checked out. I mean, it's not a post-election. The president checked out long ago. He said that we should wait for the next person. I mean, he is John the Baptist. We should wait for the Jesus Christ, to take us out of the mess. I mean, another example to show the president has checked out already. The secretary to the president is now ambassador at large, all right?
Right.
So gradually they are departing, and I'm sure the president himself is just hanging on. So as we say in the political parlance, he's now a lame duck because you now have, the one who actually holds the power. Now it's about everybody trying to appease, Bawumia, and then of course now Napo. So honestly, I don't think that we are actually having a very serious government that is prepared to solve the problem. Now, to December, we shouldn't actually expect any serious stuff going on. It's not going to be campaign and campaign and campaign. So for me, I take it that the government has already checked out already. They're just waiting for the next person to come. So it's not about Napo's...
Are you saying that the government doesn't care about these administrative adjustments that they would have to make if...
They're going to make that. They're going to make that for political purposes, all right? And of course, as structure, structurally, they're supposed to fill the vacancies. Right. They're going to bring people who they wanted to reward. You're going to see quite a lot of these things without possible, positive impact on the economy, but rather at their end. So I don't really hold any strong feelings about a positive impact on us. It's about on them rather than on us.
Dr. Zakwapong, do you agree in terms of our development or democratic development, the impact that this late announcement will have on our economy in our development trajectory?
No, I mean, it's the years of, usually in campaign years, the key developments you tend to see are usually the infrastructure developments, right? They're trying to catch up on stalled road projects, things like that. So I don't see these administrative adjustments that have to be made as per the rules making much of a difference or stalling development between now and December. We only have about maybe 6 months to the election. I don't see that bringing us to a halt because these administrative adjustments have to be made.
Right.
Maybe my final bit to you, gentlemen. There's a male-female ticket and then a male-male ticket. What do you make of the quality of both of them side by side? And then again, there are those who have said that, listen, for Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, if he doesn't become president this time, that's it for him. He may not get the nod of the NPP again. The question is Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh the person of all those that we saw that can actually help him achieve that, become president? And I'll start with you, Prof, before I go to Doc, and then wrap with Mustafa for his final comments. Prof.
Okay, Ben, I think that the die is cast for NPP. I have never failed to say that. I don't think that there was going to be those presented, anybody who could actually help save this government. I mean, from my theory, in political marketing, you have at least 3 variables that you're presenting to the electorate. Your party's own strength, based on what they've done in the past, based on the current leadership structure, etc. This party has already broken up. You have Alan Tremantin going his own way, depleting the party's stock. All right. 2, you have your delivery and policy positions. Now, go back to town and ask people whether they are convinced that this government has delivered. Absolutely not. There's a unified consensus that they have failed, especially based on what they have said that they were going to do. They didn't do it, all right? 3, you have your candidates, i.e. your presidential candidate, the flag bearer, and then the running mate to shore up your chances. Now, these 2 candidates, I am afraid, in strategy, they don't cut it. Absolutely they don't cut it. I mean, you have a Baumia's character, which it is not stellar as a leader. He's a yes, a master person. He hasn't showed any gravitas as a leader. You have him promising so many times and not coming through. He has said so many things that are untrue. He keeps saying Ghana is the first when Ghana is not. People fast check him, and he's not the truth. He's said a lot of policy promises, delivery promises never come through. He's shying away with the signature thing that he signed up to, the economy. So you don't get him as a leader for that. And I'm not sure Ghanaians are convinced about his leadership. You have a certain running mate who is very challenged in terms of his personality. Of course, the 2 ministries that he's actually headed, none of them you can say had performed. So look, the entire team, I don't think that was going to be held by even a running mate. The entire 3 variables that the NPP is presenting, all of them are actually, in limbo. There is none of this that is actually capable of actually getting them out of the doldrums. So I didn't believe that it's going to be a very strong ticket in any case. Okay. I think your other question, I think I lost it.
So I was asking about, I mean, some have said that this could be the only chance of Dr. Bawumia to be president.
Absolutely. I don't think that you need to be a strategist to actually see through it. And that's why I thought the narrative that they said that, Bawumia was going to actually change the perception, I think in the first place, it was a false narrative. They shouldn't have actually accepted that in the first place. And then you deepen it by having a running mate, if they confirm Napo, who is actually from the same place that you say you want to correct. Strategically, it doesn't make sense.
Okay. Doc? Dr. Saikwa?
Yes, right. I mean, if you look at both tickets, at the end of the day, every political party, factors in a whole lot of things and puts their best team, forward. The NDC has done that by pairing former President Mahama with Prof. Nana Jane. The NPP has made all of its calculations and has paired, Dr. Bawumia and, again, with Napo's name coming up, trying to pair them. Today, I find myself disagreeing a lot with Prof. When Prof says, my only point of departure with Prof when he says the die is cast. So if you had asked me this question maybe 3, 4, 5 months ago, I would have shared that sentiment that the die is cast. I've been regularly saying that the political winds seem to be blowing in the direction of the NDC, right? And generally, I still believe that. But there are 2 things that is making me say that it's not as cast, in the sense that, for example, if you look at the Global Info Analytics poll, in as much as it had a whole lot of positives for the NDC, and some serious warning signals for the ruling party, there were 2 questions that made me say, and that is one, on the question of trust, the difference between former President Mahama and Dr. Bawumia was very negligible. If you look at the question of competence, again, the difference between them was very negligible. And then on the back of that came Prof. Smart Sapong's poll that shows quite a lot of people who are undecided, right? And you see this convoluted answer of, if it's party, the preference is NDC. but if its candidate, the preference is Dr. Bawumia, still with a huge number of undecided voters. For me, when I put those things together, it is an indication that there is enough dissatisfaction with the NPP, but they are still not yet completely sold on the alternative. At least that has been my reading. So that's my only point of disagreement with Prof, that the die may not be cast as yet, although the political winds seem to be more in favor of the NDC. It's still not in the bag yet.
Right. Mustafa, you have the final word. Your thoughts, and then we're done with this conversation.
Yeah, so I think that basically two key things on the minds of Ghanaians today. The five of us having this conversation, one of the key indicators that affect all of us, our lives, is the quality of living. The NPP gave us free senior high school. That is very good, a policy poorly implemented. But what happened to the economy? What happened to the standard of living? What happened to corruption? Are we saying that because the party has given us free senior high school, it's enough to pay the bills that people cannot handle today? The level of, for the first time, we've had Global Fund. We all know what Global Fund is, assisting Ghana with medical supplies. We left these things to rot at the harbor. That tells you the depth of lack of responsibility that President Akufo-Addo, Dr. Bawumia, by extension, have presided over. Now, the Vice President says, I will not take responsibility. The President says, I won't take responsibility. Should we not hold the cabinet also responsible for the mess, the mismanagement, the lack of performance as to where we are today? We will hold cabinet responsible, and all of these people were in cabinet. The next question, this is the last round for Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. I think that, look, if the NPP had settled on, say, Amin Anta, who is the finance minister today, I would believe that it brings some sort of leverage, seriousness to the table.
Right.
If they have chosen a brilliant young man like, say, Abu Jinapor, Minister for Lands, I would say that it brings some fresh energy, it brings some new ideas. Bawumia is a no-no for presidency. Bawumia is a no-no for the NPP itself. He hasn't acquitted himself satisfactory enough. In terms of country, we all know today, in the history of our country, the only vice president who speaks and you fact check only to know that is a lie is Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. The only vice president, when people are dying, he cracks jokes with it, is Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. So for me, I don't see seriousness in that ticket. And I don't think that if I have to advise as a political practitioner, there is hope in Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia as far as the NPP is concerned. There are other young, sharp brains that are coming up. And I think that the generation is looking up to people who are problem-solving oriented. It can be business as usual, recycling incompetence, taking advantage of political parties and all of that. We have moved past there. Ghanaians want to live comfortably. Ghanaians want to own houses. Ghanaians want to be educated. Ghanaians want to have jobs. Ghanaians want to live long by having healthcare. They are looking for a political party that has a team that can give them these things. And as far as I'm concerned, I don't think that Bawumia, as a leader of our team, can get the NPP to achieve such an objective. Unfortunately, given his track record.
Thank you, Mustafa.
And his role in President Akufo-Addo's government.
Thank you, Mustafa. So those who joined us for the conversation, Deputy General Secretary of the NDC, Mustafa Gbande. We also had a CDD fellow, Dr. John Osai Kwapong, and of course, Professor Kobi Mensah, a political marketing strategist. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
All right. So here we are. Some interesting comments coming through. I say that, some of the banter will happen. I had my suspicions that Napo would be selected, but we'll leave the assessment to all of us, the people of Ghana, when it comes to D-Day. Now at least we have a fair idea of how it's going to be. Interestingly, both the running mates have headed the education ministry before. You can look at their profiles, you can look at the baggage, you can look at what they bring to bear. Some would also look at continuity. in coming elections and all of that. But we did. And and we're observing keenly.
I'm observing with a very curious mind the comments that are coming in this morning under that post of whether Napo would be a great choice for the NPP. People know him, and they know him for a certain character that he doesn't respect, that he's harsh with his words, that he's arrogant. And for some time now, we haven't actually heard him speak. So what, is he being coached? What's happening there? It's just, I'm very curious to understand.
I mean, you would give him his positives.
The comments are showing on your screens right now.
His positives as well, because, I mean, there's no one who is all negative.
Yeah.
He must have his positives. He's a two-time Minister Education, now Energy.
So what did he do?
The question is, does he have what it takes? You know, generally, people will look at so many things, and all of that. But are there other positives to him? People may look at so many dynamics, but I think in the end, the people will decide.
The people will decide. But before we go, quick announcement that under the distinguished patronage of Her Ladyship Justice Gertrude Tokono, the Chief Justice of the Republic of Ghana, the UPSA Law School proudly presents the 2024 Lifetime Achievement in Law Award and Honorific Lecture. The event presents a rare but high-level opportunity to recognize and acknowledge the outstanding and exemplary contributions of notable Ghanaian personalities in the areas of the rule of law, governance, and the legal academy. This year's Lifetime Achievement in Law Award will be conferred on Nana Dr. SKB Asante, the Paramount Chief of Asante Asokwari, and former Director, United Nations Center on Transnational Corporations, and the Chairman of the Committee of Experts, which drafted the 1992 Constitution of Ghana at an August ceremony befitting the aura of the occasion. The event comes off on Thursday, 25th July 2024. That's today at 5 p.m. at the Kofi Ohene Konedu Auditorium at the UPSA. So please visit the social media platforms of the UPSA Law School or call them on 0245 347 946 for more information. That's happening today, so be aware of that, Benjamin.
Well, we have more messages for you. We at the Multimedia Group are proud to announce that we are the official free-to-air radio broadcast right owners of Euro 2024. Now, we will deliver live commentary of selected games, including the opening game and the finals, with our team of talented commentators and analysts on Joy FM, Love FM, Hits FM, Adum FM, Inshira FM, and Asempa FM. Quite a bounty, huh? Now, apart from the live radio commentary, the Multimedia Group has also curated custom Euro 2024 shows on radio, TV, and digital, as well as live viewing events, all aimed at delivering an unparalleled experience of the competition to our audience. Now, the Multimedia Group's radio broadcast coverage of the Euro 2024 tournament is by courtesy of Sporty TV and SportyBet. So you get to watch selected matches of Euro 2025 or Euro 2024, I'm in a hurry, aren't I? Live on Sporty TV channel 36 on your digital TV sets. So look forward to that. If you've been missing out for now, take advantage of it. But stay with us on the AM show. We're bringing you a lot more action right up next.
And we are back on your screens. You're still watching the AM show. Time now for us to talk about the impact makers. It's just 2 more days to go, and the Multimedia Group celebrates heroes touching lives in their various communities under the Joy Impact Makers Awards. 10 nominees, 10 heroes. We will hear from some giants like we did yesterday this morning and on what makes them special. But first, let me do a quick run through these 10 heroes who will be awarded come Saturday. We have Eunice Ejapong, Dr. Sakwa Edu, Gloria Lade, Jacinta, Andrew Ejenim Boateng, Rhoda Koda Wedam, who's the person we'll be speaking to this morning, Samuel Jirakta, Nicholas Kofi, Dr. Joel Dua, and Joseph Majon. This morning, I've been joined by Rhoda Kodawedam, who is a dedicated social entrepreneur and the founder of Songba Empowerment Center, located in the northern region of Ghana, with a background in community development and business administration. And she's emerged as a leading figure in the field of women's empowerment and menstrual hygiene education. And her commitment to menstrual hygiene education is equally noteworthy because of the times that we're in. Rhoda, good morning to you. Thanks for joining the conversation this morning. If you can, Rhoda, if you can hear me, please unmute and mute. Don't listen to me from the TV set. Just unmute and speak to me.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning,
to you,
Rhoda.
and I wish your viewers too a good morning. Thank you for having me.
Great. So you are being celebrated as a hero, someone
Hello.
champion. Yes, I can hear you, Rhoda. Can you hear me? It appears we are having some technical challenges with Rhoda. But Rhoda, can you hear me? If you can hear me, just say hello.
Yes, I can hear you. Good morning.
Good morning. So I was saying that you're celebrated as a hero, making some positive impact in your community. First of all, how does all this make you feel?
Hello? Hello?
Hi, Rhoda. Can you hear me? Okay, so let me just give you some brief background about Rhoda, some more details while we try to reconnect or adjust whatever technical issue that is. So Rhoda raised a family of 7. Her upbringing instilled a sense of responsibility and compassion in others. And her advocacy journey began during her own experiences as a young girl facing the challenges of menstruation without access to proper sanitary products. And this story is everywhere in this country and across the world. This first-hand experience fueled her determination to make a difference in the lives of marginalized girls in her community. And driven by a vision of a more equitable society, she established the Songba Empowerment Center at the age of 26, just 2 years after completing her first degree. And through this initiative, she's provided practical skills in training, weaving, sewing, shea butter production, offering a pathway to economic independence for the women and girls in her community. Rhoda, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Fantastic. So I was just, giving our audience all this marvelous, details of the things that you've done in your community, for which reason you'll be selected and will be rewarded come Saturday for the Joy Impact Makers Awards. How do you feel right now speaking to me?
Thank you so much for having me this morning, and a very good morning to all your viewers. I would say that I'm so excited to be part of the 10 impact makers that have been selected to be awarded this Saturday. I'm so impressed because I know this is a platform that will not only award me, but also give me the platform to showcase whatever that I'm doing in the community. And the fact that it's also going to keep me moving, because this award definitely will keep reminding me that I need to keep working hard because the whole world is watching me. If Joy News has been able to locate me at this time to award me, then this shows that I need to keep working hard and that everyone is watching.
Okay, so I just read that you had some personal experience, which is why you started this empowerment of you women and girls. And I must also add that the conversation about menstrual hygiene or access to menstrual hygiene products cannot be overemphasized. We've seen over here in Ghana that locally produced ones, there are no taxes on it as of now. And so my question to you is, can you share some of that experience with us and what made you actually decide that this is the way you wanted to go at the age of 26?
Yes, so when I started menstruating, I was just in class 6 when I started. And I didn't have enough information about period when I started. And the information that was also given me, that was given to me at home wasn't adequate enough to prepare me to go through the journey as an adolescent. So going through it, I sometimes do not have access to disposable sanitary pads. So there were times where I will have to use the reusable pads, wash them, dry them in the sun, and use them again. And there was a time where I used toilet roll to school, and at a point, this toilet roll fell on the compound of the school. I got to class and didn't know where the toilet roll had fallen, and the blood was just dropping on my pants. And on this particular day, I couldn't sit in class till the end of the school session. I had to run back home to change myself. And this is what a lot of girls are also facing in the country.
Yeah.
So for me growing up, I have taken it upon myself that I wouldn't watch my younger sisters to go through the same problems or challenges that I have gone through. It really takes the country so much to be able to educate and sensitize girls on menstruation before they start. They need to be aware of it. They need to know what the challenges are. They need to know what they'll be experiencing as adolescents. Because during our time in school, we're having negative information from friends.
And stigmatization, I mean, yeah.
Yes. And especially when you have serious menstrual cramps, you get a friend telling you that unless you have sex before this menstrual cramps will stop. And these are false information that our friends were giving us. So if parents are able to sensitize their girls, if teachers are able to sensitize girls very well, I believe that it will go a long way to help us. And that is what also motivated me to author the book, No More Suffering in Silence. Because I cannot go to the schools around the country. I can't go to all the schools in the country to educate girls to sensitize them on menstrual education. But I believe that this go with
Rhoda, you're oozing with a lot of passion. I don't want to lose you. You're breaking up. I lost you for 3 seconds.
Okay. Hello.
Yeah, go on.
Yes. So what I'm saying is that there is a need for us to continue to sensitize girls on menstruation or on period before they start. And that is why I authored the book titled No More Suffering in Silence.
Right.
Because I know that I cannot be able to be in all the communities and all the schools across the country. But this book that I've authored, I know with the support of Joy News, with the support of humanitarians, with the support of development organizations, we can all come together to ensure that every girl in this country has access to the book. And that will definitely help these girls to understand what periods are. And this book is also coming out to help parents who cannot have the discussion with their parents at home. Parents so shy to have that conversation with their girl child. And this book has come to save parents a lot. So what you cannot do at home, or the topics that you cannot discuss with the girls about periods,
the book will do it for you.
This book has come to help you to be able to do that.
Right. Thank you so much for the fantastic work you're doing. So just before we go, what are your expectations come Saturday? I know there's an overall Impact Maker Award, although you'll be awarded individually. Do you have your eye on that to become the overall Impact Maker for this year?
So every goal chaser or every dream getter would always want to dream big.
Yeah.
And definitely I'm dreaming to become the overall winner. But whoever the overall winner goes to, we all will join hands with the person to celebrate it. So we are all winners, and it can go to anyone.
Thank you so much, Rhoda Kodria-Wedam, who is a dedicated social entrepreneur, championing menstrual hygiene, education, and supply of products to young girls in her community in the Northern region. Thank you so much. So that's that for conversations in the build-up to the Joy Impact Makers Awards coming up on Saturday. We'll take a break, and when we return, there's more coming your way on the AM show. Stay tuned. If you're an ardent listener of Joy FM, I'm wondering what comes to mind when you hear Africa, oh, Africa, oh. Welcome back on the AM show. Let's talk about the Joy News EcoBank Habitat Fair 2024. It's a very important event tackling Ghana's housing deficits by exhibiting building materials, financing options, among others. And one of the sponsors and participants for this year, DPS Pipes Limited. They're here in the studio with me. Good morning, gentlemen. I have with me this morning Mr. Ate Bright, who is the Sales and Marketing Executive, and Mr. Ezekiel Ahado, also Sales and Marketing Executive with DPS Pipes and Plastics. Gentlemen, good morning.
Good morning.
Tell me a little bit about DPS Pipes before we talk about the Habitat Fair.
Okay, so what we do at DPS is that we manufacture household plastics and also pipes that are premium, safe, and also durable. Now, these pipes are in the form of HDPE, PVC, and PPR. And yes, they are all produced here in Ghana.
Okay. Are you returning sponsors? Is this your first time sponsoring the Habitat Fair, or have you participated in previous years?
This is our first time.
So what made you come on board this year?
Yeah, we saw the need and then the importance of joining this great fair. You know, we want to get closer to our customers. Yeah, this year, you know, a lot of people don't understand piping. So our main focus is to get closer to our customers and then provide education to them about piping, and then the need to initiate piping from the very start of your building.
Okay. And the theme for this year is Get a House, Make It a Home. How does DPS come in here?
Yes, DPS coming here is because, as I said earlier, a lot of people don't understand, yes, piping. And then safe water.
As in the importance of piping in a home, not just a house.
Good.
Yeah.
And then you need safe water. And then, as my colleague said earlier also, our pipes are durable and safe. So to have a house and make it a home, you need safe supply of water and then a very robust drainage system. That is why we decided to join this year.
Okay. So what plans do you have for this Habitat Fair coming up? Are you going to give us some discounts? Are you offering some education into the importance of pipes? What should we expect from you when we come to the Habitat Fair, Ezekiel?
Okay, so basically we want to first of all throw out invitation for all new home owners and also home builders to come to our stand. We have a lot of goodies for them, discounts. We'll do some education as well. Actually, it's something we've been doing for the past few months now. We've been holding seminars to train plumbers to improve their skills so that they can offer the best of services to their customers as well. So come July, even we are having one of the seminars in Cape Coast on the 20th. So yeah, that is just by the way.
So run me through, you wanted to add something?
Yes.
Okay.
It is also important that our contractors, those who take charge in building or putting up a home, we have a special offer for them. And our plumbers as well. Yeah. We have a special discount for them.
And you give them this discount when they come to the Habitat Fair?
Yes. Sure. When they visit our stand, we have a special offer for them.
Okay. Yes. Run me through some of the things that will be on display at the fair when our audience come to your stand.
Okay. So we made mention that we are into PVC, HDPE, PPR, pipes and borehole as well. So we'll be seeing more of that, and some of our household plastics like the helmets and all that for the construction.
Helmet?
Yeah.
The plastic helmet?
Yeah, good.
Yes.
Yeah,
oh, okay.
We do all of them.
You do all that?
Yeah, right here in Ghana.
What about the buckets, the plastic buckets?
I'm glad you observed
plastic?
Yeah.
Okay.
Everything, every household plastic.
Okay.
Yeah, and some will be as freebies for them.
Freebies?
Yes.
Who doesn't like freebies? So if and there you have it, a popular choice for vast application, DPS Pipes and Plastics Limited. Now you are here in the studio with us. You're going to have a stand at the fair, starting from Friday all the way through to Sunday. Yeah. I'll give you each a minute to talk to our audience directly, inviting them to come, not just to the fair, but to come and experience the amazing products and cool discounts that you have for them at the Habitat Fair. I'll start with you, Mr. Ate.
Okay. I'm throwing a special invitation to all home owners and potential home owners, contractors, plumbers. Come visit our stand at the mini fair coming up 28th to 30th of this month. And then I assure you'll be amazed. Yes, we have special products on display for you. Anything, any specification of your choice, we can produce and then we'll deliver.
So it means you're not just selling what you've already made, but customers can come to you and request specific things.
Yes.
You build it for them.
Yes.
From scratch.
Yes, from
because
scratch.
That's what DPS pipes and plastics do.
We are connecting you to life.
Connecting us to life. Yes. Okay, Ezekiel.
Yeah. Okay, so I was hoping at least my brother would touch on the goodies because he's for the Christmas. But regardless, I think there's a lot to learn when you get the opportunity to visit our fair. We'll have some education interactive, education engagements as well,
right?
So that we can be able to create that kind of relationship with our consumers as well. So I would say it's an invitation to all Ghanaians to join the Joy Habitat Fair. And,
the Joy News EcoBank Habitat Fair.
Good. And let's spend time and have some fun. Yeah.
Let's spend time and have some fun from DPS Pipes and Plastics Limited. And they're one of our sponsors for this year's Joy News EcoBank Habitat Fair. And the first clinic is coming off on the 28th of June to the 30th of June 2024 at Achimota Mall. So don't miss that. Gentlemen, thank you so much for coming. Any final words before we go? Anything we've left out that you want to touch on?
Yes, in case you want to make a call to our facility.
How do we contact you?
Yeah, you do that through 0543 662727.
I think you should take that again.
0543 662727.
What about your social media platforms or websites? How do we get you?
We are on DPS Plastic Facebook.
DPS Plastic.
Yes, on Instagram.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Bright Ate from DPS Pipes and Plastic. He's a sales and marketing executive, and Ezekiel Ahado, also the sales and marketing executive at DPS Plastics and Pipes Limited. Thank you for joining the conversation.
Thank you, Kofa.
We are itching to the end of the show, but there's still a lot more coming your way before we go. Stick and stay. We'll be right back.
Welcome back on the AM show. Time now for us to tell you a bit about a book launch that comes off today at the British Council. But who better than the author of the book we're about to digest to tell us about what exactly we can expect? In our field of work, journalism, truth is crucial. But how speedily can you deliver it? And that's why this morning I am speaking to Nanakwesi Jan Apenteng. He is author of the book Truth Over Speed, a journalism manual for the digital age. He joins me for a conversation. Nana, good morning.
Good morning. How are you doing?
I'm well. I hope you are too.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
It's been a while now. I think the very last time I saw you was at Powerhouse having that interaction, and it's been years since that time. But tell us, what inspired you to pen this latest work?
Well, thank you very much. It's a couple of things, really. One is that in about nearly half a century of practice, I've come to the conclusion that, of course, we all say continuous learning is absolutely necessary for our profession and our practice. But there are no real guidebooks, quick reference things that you can go to when you need a bit of guidance. But in this particular instance, it was also inspired by some work I've been doing in last couple of years at the request of MTN, doing training for journalists in different parts of the country. So here I had some notes, and I realized that the questions fielded during those sessions constituted a kind of a catalog of challenges people face in our profession. It doesn't matter young or old, how long they've practiced, we all know those challenges. And so I thought, why not put it all in a book so that after the training, they always have something to refer to. And of course, you cannot reach every journalist. So this book makes it available for everyone in the practice, students, and all those who are concerned and interested to have it in their hands. So that is what happened. And the title, as you refer to, is one of our dilemmas. You need to deliver, and you need to deliver on time. But which comes first, truth or the speed? So that is what tantalized me, and that is what led to the title.
And it's become, a sticking point as far as journalism today is concerned. You want to get the truth out, but you also want to get it quickly, else you'll be, as we say, scooped. Which for you, just give us a teaser of what you think we can expect at today's launch. Truth over speed.
Obviously truth, because You know what happens is that sometimes we forget that what we also do is a product. We produce something, and like all products, people should find it useful. It should help them in their own lives. And in our particular case, a lot of decision making comes from what people consume from us.
Right.
And if it is not true, it means obviously every other thing that follows will be defective in some way. And so as much as we want to be the first to bring out the news, the information, still it has to be truthful. And so in this book, we examine ways in which we can do both, to have the truth and also to deliver timelessly. And today's lunch, you have no less a person than Professor Kwame Kakari doing the book review. So he will say a lot about the book and what he thinks and all that. We have the Ochehene coming as the chair, Reverend Dr. Joyce Ayi, and Dr. Efuasari, special guests, and a whole lot of guests are coming. So it's going to be an evening of reflection and fun and everything.
Right. And so you've told us about the distinguished reviewer, Professor Kwame Kakari. We'll also have Dr. Osafohene Efuasari, CEO, Ghana Export Promotion Authority. Those are the guests of honor, together with Reverend Dr. Joyce Ayi, right? Executive Director, Salt and Light Ministries. But tell us about the chairman and the guest speaker for this event.
The Ochehene Osajifo Amwechi Opoku is the chair. And the reason he is chairing, apart from, of course, being a very prominent traditional ruler in our country, is that I have had the privilege of having numerous conversations with him. And I know that he is deeply concerned about the state of our media and thinks that, you know, we should all do things to improve the media because our democracy hangs virtually on what we in the media do in terms of news, in terms of features, in terms of magazines, all that. And so, and he was one of the first people to approve of this idea of putting things in this book. And I'm so glad that despite this being his 25th anniversary and him being very busy going around his kingdom, he's also accepted to share this function.
Right.
And the guest speaker is Mr. Ebenezer Asante, who is the Senior Vice President, MTN Group Markets. And he looks after several countries on the continent, and also a very, very, very busy person. And he has also agreed to give the keynote address this afternoon.
All right, so just to wrap the conversation, time, venue, date. I want you to reiterate before we go.
This is at the British Council Hall in Accra, and it's at 5 p.m. prompt. I'm a time ambassador, so people would expect that we'll start on time. So seating is at 4:30. And yes, we start exactly at 5 o'clock at the British Council Hall today. It is this afternoon, 5 p.m.
All right. Nana, we wish you the very best, and hopefully the truth will take precedence over speed. Thank you very much for your time. That is Nana Kwesi Jan Apenteng, author of that latest book, Truth Over Speed, a journalism manual for the digital age. And of course, it's happening this evening at the British Council, 4:30 p.m. seating, and then the start at 5 p.m. Well, before we draw the curtains on the conversation today and take our photo of the day, escape to the Royal Cozy Hills Hotel, that is Drapa, Dubai. You have seen the rest. Now it's time to see the best. Take a break from work, take a break from the South. The Royal Cozy Hills Hotel, Drapa, Dubai, is the place to relax, rewind, and re-energize. It is away from the stress of the South. Now this is what awaits you. An unforgettable safari experience, and they have an amazing array of wildlife, including lions, hippopotamuses, zebras, ostriches, among many others, using our spacious and well-secured game tour vehicles, or using quad bikes. Vroom, vroom. Are you ready? Water sports such as jet skiing, boat or canoe rides, and again, various family games to keep you and your families excited every day. But there's more. They have great tourist attractions in the Upper West region, including the Mushroom Rock, Slave Caves, etc., that they will let you visit. So escape from the south, escape to the north, escape to the Royal Cozy Hills Hotel, that is Japa, Dubai, for an unforgettable safari experience. All you have to do, pick up your phone, call those numbers. 0501 694 280 or 0248 844 463 to make your reservations or make further inquiries now. Yeah? Okay. So we're coming back into the studio as we cap off the show. Sweetie Abochi is right here. Hiya.
Let's cap it off with the icing on top, with a photo of the day.
Yeah. Where are we going today? Dum, 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 dum.
Vitiligo.
Okay.
Did you know that this is why Michael Jackson bleached his skin? He had vitiligo.
I don't know about bleaching, but he did have some surgical procedures.
He didn't like that the melanin in his skin was slowly depleting, and so it made him look like patchy, and so he just decided to get it all off. But yeah, they're like us, they're us, and they live among us, and their skin color, whether discolored or not, does not, make any difference.
Let's realize they are not different. There's nothing wrong with them. It's just something to do with the body, genetics, and all of that. So when you see them, let's not discriminate, because it's through no fault of theirs. It's
this
just
is
the
very
body
appropriate,
being
Ben,
the body.
because Tuesday, I think, was World Vitiligo Day. So the Caleb Mensah captured this aptly. Thank you for bringing us that. And I'm done. I
love this photo.
Yeah.
It reflects us in different ways. Anyway, that's how we're going to cap off the conversation this morning. It's been enthralling coming your way. We're always pleased that you allow us into your homes, onto your phones and other gadgets. But right now, it's time to say bye-bye. Up next, Joy News Day.
Bye.